Stop. What's going on? What's going on? What's up? Hey, what's up?
There, right? Audio input capture, copy. Okay, now I'm on. Alright, there we go. Whenever you're ready.
Alright. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Booking Series, and I don't know what episode this is, because everything's just so recorded, backlogged, and stuff, so whatever episode's in the title, that's the episode that it is. I'm Owen Finch, and I'm here with...
J-Hebert.
And this is part 3 of James and I's feud. Only one more part after this. We're actually recording... What way, kayfabe? We're actually recording both parts today, and you're going to see it. I don't know when you'll see it, but you're going to see it at some point, so...
Yes.
Let's hope by the time you see it, I think we said this last time, let's hope by the time you see it, COVID's completely, not even talked about anymore. We don't even have to worry about anything like that, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen, though, so...
yeah, right. God willing. This shit needs to end, I'll tell you, because holy fuck, I'm so sick of I've had enough COVID to last a lifetime, dude.
I thought once a vaccine come out, we wouldn't even be hearing about it anymore. But then you have these people who don't even want to get the vaccine, and then you have this and that. And I don't feel like if we talk about it, then everyone's just going to give us a thumbs down or a thumbs up, whatever. So let's just not be controversial. So
because God forbid people can fucking be normal.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about part 3 of our feud. So since it's been a while since we recorded part 2, I think it was part 2, yeah. Was it part? It was definitely part 2, yeah, because part 1 was when I was there most of the time and you were injured, and then part 2 was when we were both on camera and stuff. So
yeah.
It ended at Survivor Series. I don't know if you remember, I had a team of 5 and you had a team of 5. We had a Survivor Series match, and my team beat your team, but I didn't get the win overall. It was Roman Reigns. I got the win over Cesaro.
I remember that, yeah. I remember that.
Okay. So that's what we're picking up with. So I'll give you some behind the scenes too. I had this ready to go a year in advance probably. And then I decided pretty much what happened is Chris Dodd wouldn't give me permission to use him for the Fantasy Booker Series, as I told you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got the permission, and I'm like, since I have it, I have to rewrite this now, because we have to do some type of Aftershock corner match, and now that I have the permission to use Chris Dodd, when's the other time we're going to be able to do it? Because it's only going to be when we're feuding, pretty much. If we don't do it any other time, then what's the point? So,
yep.
So if some of this stuff I didn't go into as detail about, that's because some of it I wrote today, and I'm tired from work yesterday, so you know, I'll try to go as in much detail as possible, but I also was on a deadline, so I had to get this kind of done in a little bit too. So
yeah.
This is what happens, Chris, when you don't give me permission to use you in my fantasy and stuff. So, yeah, let's go over it though. We have the champions after Survivor Series, just so you remember. Bray Wyatt's the WWE champion. Bobby Roode's the World Heavyweight champion. Braun Strowman's the Intercontinental champion, because if you remember, he's a 2-time champ, because I beat him the go-home show of Survivor Series on Raw, and then he beat me right back for it on SmackDown. Rusev's still the U.S. champion. I don't know if you remember, you guys had that, multi-man ladder match, and he actually won the belt overall, and technically he beat you for the belt, but you didn't factor in the decision, so...
Yeah.
And then Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are the World Tag Team Champions. Paige is the Women's Champion. Apollo Crews is the Internet Champion. And Austin Aries is the X-Division Champion. So you helped to win that championship. So there you go.
There you go. And by the way, let's see, 1, 2. Well, no, he'll be there. He'll be on that same thing soon enough. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names no longer active on the WWE roster, and I include Paige in that because she's on her fucking way out the door. So yeah, all those names fucking gone.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think you counted Apollo Crews by accident. I don't know if you mean because he's still in the company.
Oh well, yeah, fuck it. We'll count him too. He might go too.
Yeah, you might.
He might. I would. I wouldn't want to be there right now.
But yeah, that is true. And you could say maybe four other guys there. Isn't it kind of sad? Like, if they had done the booking, I mean, you don't know the booking. If they had done the booking that I'm pretty much doing with the Wyatts, they could have all been champs at one point. Like, that's just sad. Like,
yeah, no, you booked this fucking, you booked this 4-man team better than the WWE did. That's, and then again, a fucking toddler who's blind, deaf, and fucking dumb can do it better than the way the WWE did. I mean, so, I mean, not that I'm discrediting what you did here. I'm just saying that's not saying much. That's kind of low standards right now in the world of pro wrestling.
I will say this. If you want to know why Austin Aries is still there, like I said, this was before. Watch our last video because we did a whole thing on it.
Yeah, we did a whole rant. We did a whole rant on it, and we stand by our statement. Like, fucking move on. Impact. TNA sucks. Okay, TNA sucks.
Yeah.
I'm glad they died.
Anyway. Yeah, let's talk about the network events after Survivor Series 2015. We have, on December 20th, 2015, will be Judgment Day. You probably wonder why I did Judgment Day instead of Armageddon. I just felt like doing Judgment Day instead. It's the same thing, so why not? And then we have Royal Rumble, which will take place on January 24th, 2016. No Way Out, which will take place on February 21st, 2016. And WrestleMania 32, which will take place on 2 nights for the first time ever, on April 2nd and April 3rd. Because if you do the research, I think this is when everyone kind of noticed that WrestleMania was starting to get too long. Yeah. So, thinking why not make it 2 nights?
This installment of Mania was like 6 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there for that one. I don't know if you remember. that. That was the one I was there for. So, let's talk about post Survivor Series.
Can I ask you something like in relation to that? Was it actually a good show, or did you only like it because of the atmosphere and the fact that you got to see Taker? Full on.
Well, also, yeah, I probably only liked it because it was my first WrestleMania I actually attended.
Right.
So I got to see Taker.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, let's just say you and I were going through some things back then, and now that I know what I know, it was probably a few days to get away from what we were going through and stuff. So
that's fair.
Now that you know,
that's actually fair.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would have even enjoyed it, other than the fact that you got to get away completely for a while. To be honest.
I know. But we'll see. We'll see. So.
We'll see. I know I'm not going to a Mania ever in my life.
Well, yeah, let's talk about post Survivor Series. This is the next night on Raw. Some things are gonna happen. I defeat Zima Ion in a good opening match. Afterwards, I talk about my team's victory at Survivor Series. However, I say that I want my Intercontinental Championship back. And then Seth Rollins comes out and says that we went to war together at Survivor Series. However, the issues between the Shield and the Wyatts for power has been a long time coming. And it's time to start the trajectory back to the Shield by taking Braun Strowman's Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, this is just like basically a plot point. He can obviously, because this obviously doesn't sound like something he would say in real life. So he could obviously, he could obviously find a way. He can obviously say it on his own or whatever. So
now, here's my question: do you make the Not that you booked this probably, but would you have made the Shield a four-man team, or kept it as a trio?
It's still going to be a trio. It's just it would only be the original members of the Wyatts versus the Shield when it comes to the actual 6-man tag. And Strowman will be ringside and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't see the sense in adding to the Shield. So, and then Tyson Kidd comes out and
there's a couple members I could think of that would fit pretty well with the Shield motif.
And who's that?
The big boy. And I'm kidding. I was about to say Boss Man, but no. He's the Shield
Oh,
Kid.
okay.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I probably Cesaro, to be honest with you. I could actually.
Well, yeah,
see
but
getting there.
in my universe, he's a heel at the moment, so you know.
Ah,
no
yeah,
one would
true.
turn him.
Yeah. He's got the Gulak gimmick.
Yep. So then Tyson Kidd comes out afterwards and says that he has a bone to pick with Braun Strowman after he tried to end his career. Because I don't know if you remember, I booked a match, and afterwards he like power slammed him on the floor and all that type of stuff. So, and then Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger come out.
Sounds familiar to what one old Powerhouse Hobbs did to Punk recently.
Yep. And then, and that hadn't even happened yet when I booked this. So.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger come out and say that they want in because they feel like they've been overlooked for much too long. And then Chris Sabin wants a chance because of the lack of opportunities he's received since he's coming to WWE. So William Regal comes out and announces a 6-pack challenge for next week, and whoever wins will face Braun Strowman at Judgment Day for the Intercontinental Championship. And then later in the show, you and Chelsea Green have another segment at your house. However, this time it's much more darker and disturbing. You talk about how a Survivor Series proved nothing between you and I because you didn't even get pinned to get eliminated. And the only reason you got eliminated is because I wouldn't allow you to get into the win because you knew deep down inside what would have happened. And then eventually you yell at Chelsea Green for not serving more of a purpose at Survivor Series and says that now you're on my shit list. And you have to pull your weight to redeem yourself. And basically afterwards you would tell her that you've seen what it's like to be my friend. You do not want to have me as your enemy. You would say something like that. And then you end it by saying that I didn't overall defeat you this time. And he says that the biggest threat that I had to deal with was Roman Reigns, and you'll deal with him next week. And afterwards, you hit a wine glass off the table in anger and yell at Chelsea Green and cleaning up the mess. So you're mad, pretty much. So
now you're having me be abusive to Chelsea. God damn.
I wanted to sell the loss. So
fair, but damn. Oh no.
And then and later on in the night, William Regal makes the match official for next week between you and Roman Reigns. So it's a big match.
Yeah, I get to fight Roman and probably get my fucking guts rearranged by a spear. Whoa!
Well, let's see. So then on the November 26, 2015 episode of SmackDown, several things happen. You come out and talk about how every member of the Shield brings something to the table. And if one of them is gone, the Shield will cease to exist. And you talk about how we're going to finally see what Roman Reigns brings to the table of the Shield. And then Roman Reigns comes out, grabs the mic, and says that this Monday night, I'm not only going to beat you, I'm going to stick the clutch so far down your throat, you'll be coughing up pieces of it for a week. I think that's something cool that Roman Reigns would actually say. So
that sounds about right. I mean, that'd be a painful fucking meal, I'll tell you. I don't think you could realistically eat a crutch.
That's the point. And then later on in the night, JR has a sit-down interview with Chris Dodd and John Tuddy, two young wrestlers looking to break into the business, and they talk about their background and struggles getting into the business. And then you come up and ask JR to leave so he can talk to them privately. And you tell them how you're happy that they're starting to make a name for themselves in the wrestling business, and you guys reminisce about the old times on the Wrestling Rundown podcast and all that type of stuff. However, you mentioned that, as you've seen how and heard lately, things between Owen and I haven't gotten so bad that they'll never be back to the way things used to be. So he wants to know whose footsteps they're going to follow. John Tuddy talks about how wrestling is this is actually, I think, something John, would say in real life. Wrestling is a cutthroat business, and to make it, you have to do whatever it takes. So, pretty much, he's on your side. I actually think John would take your side on this. However, Chris Dodd lashes out at you for throwing away a childhood friendship, all for money and fame. And pretty soon, James will be left with nothing. At the end, you say that you respect both perspectives, and we'll see where they lead you. Then in the main event, Seth Rollins, Tyson Kidd, and
I love how I'm just Seth. I'm just full on Seth Rollins here at this point.
I know, so I hope you like that.
I'm the Monday Night Messiah, or the I don't know, whatever the fuck you call it. It's basically how you booked me here.
I hope you like that gimmick then, because that's the gimmick you're getting. So
I'm good with that. It's good.
Yeah,
definitely good. Good stuff.
And then Tyson Kidd, Seth Rollins, and I defeat Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, and Chris Sabin after Seth Rollins hits a curb stomp on Swagger for the win to hype the match up on Raw and stuff. But after the match, footage gets showed of you and John Tuddy beating down Chris Starr in the parking lot. So I went out there. However, by the time I get out there, the damage is already done, and you guys have already left. So
he lost his tag team partner night one in.
I never said they were a tag team. I just said they were being interviewed. So
yeah, but fair. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, let's.
All right, continue.
Let's go through Raw.
Yeah.
On the November 30th, 2015 episode of Raw, some things happened. Seth Rollins.
That seems to be here. Hold on, can we make that a shirt? on this and this such date, some things happen. Fantasy booking series, epic copyright.
Yeah, I think that should be a shirt. So
if you don't know,
what happens when
some things went down.
Yep. I had a feel. I was wondering if you were going to catch on to that. So.
Are you doing that? Was that on purpose?
No, I just was wondering if you were going to say something. I just was wondering if you were going to say something about it eventually. Like.
That's going to be the catchphrase going forward, though.
I know. You'll have to keep it going when you do your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the November 30th, 2015 episode of Raw, Seth Rollins wins the six-pack challenge after pinning Dolph Ziggler with the curb stomp after an amazing opener. Makes sense for Seth Rollins to win because that continues the Shield and Wyatt family storyline going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the main event, it's you with John Tuddy and Chelsea Green ringside versus Roman Reigns with Cesaro on commentary. You two have a brutal powerhouse hybrid type match. Eventually, while the ref's down, John Tuddy goes on the apron with the clutch. However, Chris Starr pulls him off the apron and they brawl into the crowd. And this distracts you, which allows Roman Reigns to hit the spear on you for the win. I thought this made sense because, this launches off a feud between that. This protects you because someone's got to take a loss here. We don't do any DQs or any of that. So I thought if you have to lose here, this protects you from a loss.
It does protect me from a loss, but I still have to eat. I still have my guts rearranged from the spear like I predicted.
Yep. I liked how you knew where it was going.
That makes me sad. That's gonna hurt.
This is not. It's unrelated to afterwards. Cesaro attacks Roman Reigns and lays him out with a neutralizer on the floor to launch a program between them. I just thought, to book that so you know where Cesaro and Roman Reigns are going forward. So
that's gonna be a hell of a match.
But that makes sense considering the fact.
Well, they actually feuded for the Universal title, or should I say the Blue Universal title?
But that makes sense, though, because they were the last two guys in the win at Survivor Series. You would believe that Cesaro, would have something to prove since Roman Reigns only beat him after, didn't really beat him one-on-one and all that type of stuff, so it works. And, if you see where I go, when you see where I go with Roman in Part 4, Cesaro's a good guy to get him in the win with if you're going to have a main event and main event style, because this is a Cesaro that's already been in the main event and all that type of stuff, so... So then on the December 3rd, 2015 episode of SmackDown, in the closing segment, you, John Tuddy, and Chelsea Green come out. However, before James can speak, John Tuddy grabs the mic and wants to explain himself first. Because he doesn't want to just be... I think this makes sense, because I don't think John Tuddy would just want to be, a voiceless, phony to you. I think we'd actually like to bring something to the table. So...
Yeah.
So John Tuddy says... He tells the fans, friends, and colleagues not to get it twisted about him and James. They don't necessarily see eye to eye. However, like I said before, wrestling is a cutthroat business, and to make it, you have to do whatever it takes to get to the top. And basically afterwards, he would say that James and I see how we're supposed to get it done in this business, and we may not always see eye to eye, but we're going to do this together, pretty much. And then he would hand the microphone back to you. And then James, you respect him for putting aside his feeling towards him to benefit his career. Because then you would probably wondering,
everybody do the Jeff Jarrett temple tap.
Yep. Actually, I had that in my head too. I like how we think alike there. I had that in my head when you said that. So,
Nice.
um, and then you tell Jesse Green that she's still not on good terms with you because you told her to scour every trace of the arena to make sure that Chris Daw wasn't going to interfere. But surprise, surprise, you can't even manage the smallest task. So then you call out Chris Dodd to settle this once and for all. Chris Dodd comes out and you berate him for costing him a victory on Raw because had you had beaten Roman Reigns, it would have propelled you to bigger and better things. So it's kind of like one of those things where, like,
it would have been the things
even
that
though you
despite what you've done to me recently, I would have still given you a title shot if I won the title, and you cost yourself because you followed with your heart instead of your head. Is basically what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if pretty much picture like one of the segments that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso had, like when Jey Uso was going for the title right when Roman turned heel. That's kind of what I'm doing.
So you're basically just mixing the Messiah gimmick and the Tribal Chief gimmick.
Yeah. So
it's better than being the Tribal Chef.
Absolutely.
So
Chris Dodd says,
before you continue, I'll explain the joke because I understand if it's very obscure. There was a comment on YouTube. I think it was on a video from a YouTube channel called Corporate Kane, and he was reading these fucking comments, these unrealistic, ridiculous comments on his Instagram post.
Yeah.
And they were just hating on him for jumping ship to AEW, essentially, is what happened. And one of these cretins spelled the Tribal Chief as chef, so he became the Tribal Chef, and I immediately called him, oh, so he's the table of food? He's just a lead fucking actor of Meet the Fockers?
That's good. Good.
There you go.
So then, Chris Dodd says, after what you put me through last week, what did you expect me to do? James talks about how without him, there is no Chris Dodd in this business, due to the fact that he invited him on the Wrestling Rundown, helped him build his name, and find his passion for it. He also reminds him that... I know, yeah.
Like, IRL, I wouldn't even say that. I can say a lot of things about Dodd, but that ain't one of them. Dodd had his own passion for wrestling way before we even talked on a consistent basis. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've already sent them this, so I can say this, but you've said this before, so I just basically ran with it. So
did I say it before?
Yeah, you have said this before. So
fair. Okay. Well,
and he says, you also remind him that it was through his connections through the Lockup Wrestling Academy that he got Chris Dodd into the school to begin with. Then eventually I come out and talk about how James is yet again it's supposed to say delusional, but I couldn't spell it. About the reality of certain situations. I talk about how it helps to have connections to certain situations that gets them opportunities. However, it's what the person does with that opportunity that makes or breaks them. Chris Dodd then talked about how he's right because anytime you two needed someone to fill in a spot as a co-host for the Rundown, I was there. And when he trained at the Lockup Wrestling Academy, he was the one that sacrificed everything to commit to the hard work and dedication. James then wonders what he has to do to make Chris and Owen see things his way. Well, I suggest that John Tuddy and J-Hebert could face him and Chris Dodd at Judgment Day. So basically, it's Chris and I versus you and John at Judgment Day.
Okay.
At first you refuse, however, John Tuddy talks you into it. He wants a big platform to have the match with all of them, since that's always something they've talked about. I mean, I don't think we have in real life, but I have a feeling if we actually were going to get into the business, we would have had this conversation. I have a feeling we would have. So,
dude, I will say, while this makes sense to us, right? Dude, I feel like talking about a wrestling talk show would get us booed out of the building somehow.
It could. I don't know everyone in the wrestling business nowadays has a talk show now, or at least a YouTube show, or podcast.
That is true. That is fair. That's fair. Continue.
However, you don't want the James doesn't. Let's see. However, you don't want anyone to hold back. So the condition is that it's a tornado tag team match. Chris and I accept, but they don't want to wait until Judgment Day. So we all get into a brawl where Chris and I stand tall after a double clothesline outside the ring and double suicide dive. And you and John Tuddy, do that big thing in wrestling where you guys just don't get into the ring. You guys you go take a powder. You guys hit the bricks running and all that type of stuff. So,
yeah, fiddlesticks.
So then, on the December 7th, 2015 episode of Raw, footage is shown of of Chris Dodd and I having a. If you're wondering why I keep saying my name in third person, it's because that's how I have it into this doc. So when I read my name,
I know that. I just out of all places.
Yeah.
Product placement.
Yeah, Chris Dodd and I are having a conversation with each other at Five Guys. I figured, that gives them some nice publicity, and that's basically where Chris and I go anytime we go out to eat. So that just makes sense. So
I didn't even know you guys went out to eat. I didn't even know you guys went out to Five Guys to go eat.
Oh yeah, when I needed him to do the radio shows at school.
Oh, is there Five Guys in the near Brockton?
No, we would just go to the one near his house.
There's one near his house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where?
I don't know. I forget where now, but it exists.
Fuck. Okay. News to me. Continue.
So Chris Dodd and I talk about how crazy it is that we have always talked to each other for years about how we're getting into this business, and now it feels like we're all strangers, pretty much. I tell Chris Dodd that he doesn't want whatever is going on between James and I to let that get in the way of what Chris worked for to get into this business, and to show that you got into this business because of you and not anything James did. I basically added this in there because then I think a lot of people would have a problem that basically they're just Chris Dodd and John Tuddy are just kind of placements for James and I. So I kind of want to make sure that Chris Dodd and John Tuddy get just as much a shine as we're going to have, because I have a feeling we'd overshadow it a lot. So just to make sure that doesn't happen.
You're doing a good job of that so far, just with the explanation.
And then before we leave, Chris Dodd wants me to promise them that when this thing between James and I is over, and no matter how long it takes, at some point, we have to get back to the way things used to be. I'm hesitant about it at first. However, I promise that before it's too late, I would do that after this thing between you and I is over. I will try to mend fences, but things will never be the same again, because they never should be the same again, because that's not character progression. So
no.
So yeah, that's basically that.
Unless it's like a do or die situation, I put my pride aside and I don't know, somebody died or somebody's about to die. I don't know.
Stay tuned for that, because that's like months of parts away. That is gonna happen. Obviously, that is gonna. We are gonna mend fences at some point. So
I see.
Not gonna be anytime soon, but.
Fair.
So then on the December 10th, 2015 episode of SmackDown, there's another promo from James's house between John Tuddy and yourself, where you guys are watching the conversation that Chris and I had. Wow, you just think it's a joke. You guys make fun of the fact that of all places you guys chose to go is at Five, like you just did right now. Basically, just do the same thing, instead of like a fancy restaurant or hotel, since we had the money.
Yeah, yeah. We're the limousine riding, jet flying people. We're not the fucking Five Guys crew. Fuck that. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's so good. I love it.
Just say it more seriously, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. I mean, right now, I'm just letting you tell the story. I'm just here.
Yeah. You talk about how Chris and I seem to forget who the real stars of the wrestling rundown were due to John's impressions and your creative ideas, and the fact that you always thought of the creative ideas and edited the show. Like Chris just showed up, and even though I did everything he could, I wasn't meant to host the show due to not being able to handle the chaos, have a consistent schedule, and edit. And my edits looked amateurish, and never had any interest in learning, and just threw it all in my hands.
Okay.
Hold
on. Hey. Oi. Are you okay? Are you okay? This seems like a reflection more so than a booking here. Are you okay, bro?
There's a little bit of both.
There's
a little bit of we already had this conversation, so.
Hey, hold on. Ready? This whole thing, don't feel bad. You know why? This is me too. I don't care how good of an editor I am. This is me too. I feel that way too.
Even the amateurist coach?
There's part of me that's amateurish. I'm always gonna be an amateur at heart, but yeah. Hey, I had to start somewhere, right?
I mean, you are a heel, so you can just ignore that type of stuff. So
that is true.
And then John talked about how Chris Dodd and I are never going to be a success in this business unless we follow their model of thinking. And James then talked about how Chris. What was that?
I was just laughing. This is good heel. This is good heel heat. This is good heel heat.
And then you talk about how Chris Dodd is living in a fantasy world. Notice what I did there. If you think that everything,
wink, wink, nudge,
yeah, he's
nudge.
He's living in a fantasy world. If he thinks that everything could just go back to the way it was after all we've been through, then you are more delusional than anyone else here. Now, before I talk about the next sentence, what do you think? What do you think of this stuff right here? What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty great. This is well done. This is well done. I still feel like I'm overshadowing John a little bit, but something tells me that you're planting the seeds for me and him not to be partners too much longer here.
Let's stay tuned to the next post. So,
I see.
So then after this, Chelsea Green comes up to James and asks James why you didn't record her favorite show. She can obviously say what it is. I don't know what it is in real life, so I couldn't really do it since you knew she was gonna be training late, and he responded by saying, "When you start coming through for me, then I'll start coming through for you." And then that's the end of the segment, pretty much.
This just sounds like a married couple bickering, dude.
Hey, this is what happens when you lose at Survivor Series. You should have just won at Survivor Series. So.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that's fair. Fuck your show. You didn't win. You cost me a match.
Yep. And you're just gonna. I mean, it does actually work though, because you're so delusional and stuff. You're willing to let like a little wrestling match just ruin your whole. I honestly think that maybe that's a little bit in real life. You would be willing to let like a little wrestling match ruin a whole marriage.
Yeah. I wouldn't, to be honest, but
you just be.
I probably, to be fair, probably back then, yeah, I was a fucking nutcase back then. But nowadays, actually, dude, life's too short for that. It's too short for that. It's fucking wrestling.
By the way, I know you want to bury this James Hebert, but Chris Dodd did have this idea. Should you be wearing the jean jacket when you hit the wine glass off the table?
Yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. He gave that idea?
He didn't give it. He asked it. I guess it was his idea then.
It should have been. No, we should have ran with that. I agree with Dodd. That would have been money.
Yeah.
Dude, and my torn up jean jacket too. It can't be any other jacket. It's got to be that torn up piece of shit that I wore for years.
I could just pick because I've obviously seen you stomp papers and all this type of stuff. I could just picture what you'd be like if you in that jean jacket just hitting the wine glass off the table, like that'd just be gold.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have been exactly like that.
So then on the Go Home episode of Blah, there's a special episode of a Wrestling Rundown hosted by, this might be a mistake in hindsight, but there's no one else that can really host it, Stephen Cope. This might be a mistake, though. Since he's impartial towards both teams. And everyone gets told ahead of time that if we lay a hand on each other, I was trying to think of what to do. I feel like this would be the one that would make us both listen. We are forced to hand over the show to WWE, and they can do whatever they want with it. Which honestly, I think that would even scare, with this gimmick, that would even scare you to like make sure you behave.
Yeah, because then they wouldn't even try to push me.
Yep. Yeah, and remember, this is still, in a sense, this is still run by Vince. You know what Vince would do if you got a hold of our show. So.
You'd fucking ruin it.
And Stephen Coakley has like a ton of cards full of questions to ask everybody. So I just basically listed off the questions. First, he asked how everyone met. I will admit I had to change the story of how we met because obviously, if you remember, in the fantasy, we met when we were younger. We didn't meet in college, so I did have to change that a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I answered the question. They say that I met James and attended the Backyard Wrestling Show, and James and a couple of his friends hosted, and he wanted me to help out any way he could. So, James, I'm sorry. Let me say that again because this is what kind of sucks when you read this third person.
Yeah, go for it.
So I answered the question by saying that I met James when I attended one of James's Backyard Wrestling shows, and James, that you and a couple of your friends hosted, and I wanted help. Basically, James wanted help any way he could. I wanted to help any way I could, and you accepted. So I did whatever I was asked of him. And then you threw a jab saying, talking about how, that I proved you right all along, that without me, you wouldn't even be in this business. Basically, you're going to do that throughout this whole show. You're just, anytime Chris and I answer a question, you're just going to be throwing jabs and all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Chris and I talk about how they met each other through James and have been best friends ever since and talk pretty much every day. And then you throw another jab and says, so even without me, you guys probably wouldn't have even been friends to begin with and wouldn't even know wouldn't even know how to begin to make anymore. So
Jesus.
That's another jab. That's another jab you throw.
Wow. Okay.
And then I talk about how John and I met in college when we heard when John told me talking about wrestling, and then basically you forced me to say how did you and John really become friends? Because basically the conversation John and I had the first time was just one of those like things where you just see a wrestling fan, you talk. You basically forced me to say who was the one that invited John to come on the show. Just want to know, pretty much.
You make me sound like
basically
jackal. Is this how I sound to a lot of people IRL?
Sometimes the rants with you interrupt people all the time on the show. This time you're pretty much deliberately like interrupting everybody on the show, like on purpose. Like
right. But did I ever say any of this shit? Right? I never. This is just for the character.
This is for the
okay.
This is for the character.
I hope to God I'm never like this. Like I it's one thing when I interrupt to get a fucking point across, but not these points are awful. I don't believe in any of this.
Yeah. Chris Dodd and John Tunney joke around with each other, saying that they never had a proper introduction and basically connected to the show and argue about how the Pro Football Reporters ended. Because they should that should be a thing.
I forgot that was a thing. Dude.
So then.
Oh my God. Yeah. Continue.
So then Steve continues. That was only the first question too, by the way. Second question is how the show was created. James talks about. Huh?
No, continue. I was just like.
I wonder what Steve would have done after.
I was baffled. The reason why I was like saying, or I was about to say like I'm baffled that was just the first question. We haven't even gotten the second question yet.
I know, yeah. What do you? I mean, I know we're not booking. I didn't book this, but what do you think Steve's reaction would have been after the first question? Like,
Steve's face would just be this.
just this awkwardness.
Yes. He just had that awkward face that he had when he rolled his when he tried to do a cool entrance roll and kicked the fucking table. It would have been that kind of.
Obviously,
it would have been that kind of awkward face.
Just more serious.
Yes.
So yeah, the second question is how the show was created. You talk about how we were all wrestling fans and wanted a platform to express their opinion. Then I mentioned it's not the full story because you weren't there for the WrestleMania night when I came up with the idea. And you point out who brought the guests, fill out the form, did the research, and got them the time slot while you were focused on other things. Then I mentioned how I had other focuses too, like passing the classes, working, and wrestling training. However, I was the one that promoted the show, came up with the topics, and did all the research, whether I was watching the shows or keeping up to date with the news. Then Chris Scott and John Tutty go at it, talking about who was the better guest that was brought in. Obviously, that could be improv, I think. I think John Tutty, obviously, as we've seen, could do improv. And I think you and I, Chris would admit this, because you and I would probably have to script Chris a little bit, because he when I did my 2000th video or whatever, he needed a script, so we would have to help Chris with scripting and stuff. But with you, John, and I together, I think we could. Honestly, we could work well together. So.
Yeah.
Then the third question is how the show was structured, and I explained how they would go through and review the shows. And
where to begin about how the show wasn't structured to fucking begin with.
I know, yeah.
Until recently, it started becoming structured on the rundown.
So I explained that we go through the shows and reviews and give the critiques and eventually change stuff when needed. Notice I did say change stuff when needed. And then you throw the BS card at me and says there was no structure, and mentions that the show would always be in chaos and you couldn't keep on topic like a good host. You couldn't keep everyone else on topic is actually what that's supposed to say, like a good host should.
Oh no, you kept actually that's the one thing I disagree with. You kept everybody on topic. You just kept running through spot after spot after spot.
Yeah. So maybe you could find a way to work that into the promo too.
Yeah.
Somewhere. And then I mentioned that it was always John and James that went off topic to begin with, or that good podcasts don't always need to have structure all the time, because sometimes that's the best content. It's supposed to say podcast. For some reason, it wrote contest.
Content.
Yeah, I meant to write content. The fourth question is who bought.
This is a test. Contest. Test. This is contest.
The fourth question is who brought the most to the table on the show, and I answered the question by talking about how everyone brought something to the table and goes through each thing that everybody brought to the table. However, you cut me off again, talking about how without him and you talk about how without James and John, the show would be nothing. And I brought up the fact that it was Chris Dodd and I that carried the show during you guys' absence. Eventually, Chris Dodd just realizes nothing's going to be solved and lashes out about the fact that this was a fun show that we did to escape all of our problems, but now that's gone out the window. And he says that last week, he had me promise that things will go back to normal. However, after seeing what I saw, there's no chance of that. And afterwards, Chris flips the table over and leaves. So there you go.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of that wrestling rundown? That's probably never going to happen. So.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I mean, Chris.
Hey, it's better than the Bella Twins. I wish you died in the womb.
Yeah. And I didn't mention like the show wouldn't take place like in the ring; it would take place like at a studio or something, and you would just see it like on the screen.
Oh, fair. Okay, so this wouldn't be in front of a live audience.
No.
Good.
It should. I do question though if we should probably not add this for the live crowd and do like something else, because I don't think it would really translate well to a live crowd. Because I don't know if you've ever been to like a live wrestling show like WWE or any of that. Doing a segment on the screen doesn't work for that amount of time, anyways. Because because you can't really hear all that well. So
Where-
we probably have to do some type of match that only the fans would see at that time or something.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's
Where are
then
you? I can't find.
What do you mean?
Oh wait, I found you.
Oh,
I could just.
I
I
left
didn't
for
even know you could do that. I could click your fucking username. Or
Yep.
I could click your icon.
Well, what happened is I
left.
I left for a second and went on the Discord thing so I could talk to you. So.
Oh, all right, fair.
So then on the go home episode of SmackDown in the opening match, it's Chris Dodd versus John Tuddy, where if James or I interfere, we have to pay a $10,000 fine. So that's obviously scary. You don't want to be paying a $10,000 fine. So
Yeah, I don't want to fuck that.
the match is fantastic. Eventually, Chris Dodd starts taking the fight to John Tuddy on the outside. When all of a sudden a masked man throws a drink into his face, which allows John Tuddy to put him into the ring and hit a one powerbomb on him for the win. The masked man reveals himself to be J-Hebert and pulls up the clutch, presses it against Chris's larynx, and smashes it against the ring floor.
Wouldn't that
Afterwards,
mean, wait,
Teddy.
Hold on. Wouldn't that mean I have to pay a $10,000 fine?
Yeah, you don't care about it. You don't care about any of that though.
Oh yeah, because I get that money.
Because afterwards, backstage, Teddy Long attempts to reprehend you. However, you hand him an envelope with a check written out to WWE for $10,000, and you're left off the hook because you know, there's nothing Teddy Long could do. You've paid the consequence.
Yeah, basically, I pulled the Young Bucks and just threw money at Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you do want an explanation, because I feel that fines don't exactly work like this, you don't sign or date the check until after the match is already over. Until after the match is over. So that way we don't have to deal with it. So that way that logic goes out of there. So.
Okay.
And then at the end of the show, you and John Tuddy are leaving. One of the broadcast reporters, it can be Renee Young, Charlie Caruso, whoever, try to interview you, and you guys are just not having it. You're not even answering any of these questions. And all of a sudden, I speared John Tuddy into a brawl with you until John Tuddy makes the odds uneven. Instead of even in the odds, he made them uneven. I don't think you've ever heard that wrestling before. Mm-hmm. So, however, Chris Dodd evens the odds, and security has to break it up. So basically now, that's basically the entire build-up so far. So, stop here real quick. What'd you think of that build-up? Would you want to see that match?
Well. This is actually very good. I like this. Good stuff.
So yeah, let's go to Judgment Day. It's you and John Tuddy versus Chris Dodd and I in a Tornado Tag Team match. Chris Dodd and I immediately charge the win, and a huge brawl breaks out where no one really gets the advantage on each other at first, and then eventually Chris and I do. Chris Dodd and I hit double suicide dives on the outside. Chris Dodd would hit it to John Tuddy. I would hit it to you. You and I brawl on one side of the arena while Chris Dodd and John Tuddy brawl on the other side. Eventually we brawl up to the panel area where whoever was doing the panel that night would be there. And eventually you grab Byron Saxton's pen and poke me in the eye with it, followed by a neck breaker on the floor.
God
Meanwhile,
damn.
Chris Dodd... I don't mess around when it comes to that stuff, so... Meanwhile, Chris Dodd hits a backdrop over the barricade on John Tuddy. However, when you go for an axe handle splash, you come up behind him and just push him off the barricade. You would probably have to do it on the side where the steps aren't, because then he'd probably land face first on the steps and it'd probably lead to an injury. So I'm assuming you and Chris Dodd could work that out.
Right.
Afterwards, you and John Tuddy dominate the match with several double team maneuvers and weapon spots. Obviously, you guys could work that out. Eventually, I come back and perform my comeback. Chris Dodd and I also hit some high explosive double team moves. However, I go for a suicide dive on the out. This is towards the finish now. I go for a suicide dive on the outside, and you counter it by hitting me off the head with a clutch. Because I haven't done that spot in any of our matches, I figured I'd just do it here because it doesn't really fit any other match. So I figured why not here.
Fair.
And then you go to hit Chris Dodd. However, he throws a drink in your face and follows it up with a pay dirt. So you know Chris Dodd got his revenge on you a little bit from SmackDown. However, to protect his finish, instead of you kicking out, John Tutty breaks it up. John Tutty goes for a running powerbomb onto a chair. However, Chris Dodd counters it with a facebuster on the chair. And then just as Chris Dodd's about to get to his feet, you hit him off the head with a clutch, Sammy Callahan baseball bat style. Followed by a one-wing angel for the win, and the match would go 23 minutes. So there you go. That's the match right there.
Nice.
You know, this obviously does a lot because you get to get that win back from Survivor Series, and you know, everybody I think will come out looking good in this match because everyone, even though Chris Dodd had to take the loss, he looked good in defeat. He, you know, he possibly had you beat if it wasn't for John Tutty. So I feel like everyone comes out of this match looking good.
Yeah, that's fair.
So then let's get to the build-up to the Royal Rumble match. The next night in Raw, it's supposed to say Yo Revelin, but I couldn't spell it, so it says Revealin, but it's supposed to say Revelin.
Revelin in the fact.
You're reveling in the fact that you once again laid me to waste. You say that you've accomplished everything that you wanted to since you've been back in WWE, and now you want to focus on winning the Royal Rumble match. I come out and congratulate you on being the better team last night. However, I'm not just going to let you enter the Royal Rumble match without earning it, because I don't know if you remember the past 2 Royal Rumble matches I've had to qualify for it. So basically, I'm like, how come you don't have to qualify, but I do? Type thing.
Yeah, fuck out of here, James. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? What do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
You say it's some charity case.
So I
like that the wins
you to
and losses
TLC
matter,
match.
by the way. I do like the wins and losses matter to get in the Rumble.
I do want to say too. Do you notice how I made win-loss matters? Not by records. Do you notice how every time you lose a match, you get angry and all that type of stuff? That actually gets wins and losses over too.
Mm-hmm. This is truth. DC's truth.
So I challenge you to a match at TLC. Sorry, I challenge you to a TLC match at the Royal Rumble, and the winner gets a spot in the Royal Rumble match. However, you decline because you beat me time and time again, and you just have nothing to prove. So that's the end of the segment. So there you go. So then on the Christmas Eve episode of SmackDown, I come up to Teddy Long backstage and want him to make that match. However, Teddy Long says, as great as that is, you need to move on from this and accept the fact that James has bested you. I feel like maybe it's would work better with Regal, but he's not the SmackDown GM, so I got to do it with Teddy. But I think Teddy could make this work. So Kurt Hawkins runs in and makes fun of me for consistently losing the feud, and I would have this happen as his losing streaks happen. So I would make fun of him for not winning. So it leads to a match between us where I win with a knee bar. It's not a squash though. Kurt Hawkins actually gets some offense in, and actually looks like he could have won the match at some points. And you never make an appearance on the show. You're just not seen at all. Not even at your house or nothing. You're probably at your house. You're just not coordinate. So
right.
So then on the Slam Award editions of it's supposed to say Raw. Okay, so I screwed this up then because no, I think that's right. That's right. This is right.
All right.
I hope it's right.
Continue. By the way,
okay.
I'm gonna just get a drink, but I can hear you on my headphones.
Yeah. Just in case, though, I screwed up. Let's call an audible and make the Slammy Awards its own show and not a Raw or SmackDown, because I think everything will get screwed up if I don't do it that way.
Yeah,
so you and I, this might be having too much ego, but with the intensity and stuff that we have, I think this might happen. Knowing WWE, this would happen. We win feud of the year, pretty much. I think we would win feud of the year because we have the most intense feud in the company at this point. So we should win it of the year. So we come out to accept the award, and you're pretty much just rubbing it in my face that Slammy Award is going to be a reminder that pretty much that I bested you in every outing that we've had. So I challenge you again to prove that you could beat me by yourself without any interference, but you still say no. So yeah, so don't get my match. So that's sad.
That's sad. Continue.
Well, just give me the match, dude. Give me the match, dude. Like, look.
Hey, you're
what
the one
doing
booking it. I'm
like,
just the character. I'm just the character, bro.
I know,
Don't
but
shoot
still,
the mess.
man, like, just...
Don't shoot the guy who's doing a job.
So then on the January 4th, 2016 episode of Raw, you and John Tuddy come out and you complain about the fact that people don't believe you've earned the right to enter the Royal Rumble match. However, you reveal that John Tuddy has put together a win-loss record database. If you do remember, John Tuddy was pretty, he was always the guy that cared about that type of stuff.
The math guy does the math thing.
Yep. So pretty much he shows off the database and he shows that that you can only count in one hand. You can only count in one hand how many matches James has lost since he's returned to WWE from his injury last year. However, you mentioned that those losses only happen because of situations out of his control and no one has beaten him fair and square. And you would go into more detail about it. Like, I think the only losses I remember is like when The Undertaker beat you, it was already after you had a match. When you lost the U.S. title, you didn't even factor into the finish. And you could talk about, I know you took a loss in a tag team victory. You could talk about how it takes more than one to win in a tag team. So was it really my fault I lost? And then obviously you could talk about how Survivor Series, you didn't lose, you were counted out. And obviously the Roman Reigns won. It took interference to beat you. So basically you say, I've never cleanly lost a match. And you're just being a heel. So I come out and talk about how if James is going through all of this to prove he deserves to be in the Royal Rumble match, then you must really not want to face me, Ronald. However, I'll remind you that you only beat me at SummerSlam. That when you beat me at SummerSlam, all everybody talked about is how you needed help to win, and not that you were the better man. So I'm basically trying to manipulate you to accept the match. However, you realize what's going on here and still decline the offer. You know what I was doing. So you're like, nope, still no. Actually, I think the word you should say is like, nice try, Owen. But I see what you were doing here, but my answer's still no. So then, as you go to leave, Chris Dawg comes out and tells Owen he tells me not to stop what he's about to do. Chris Dodd says that he also has unfinished business with John Tuddy due to the prior encounter, how the prior encounter ended. And since I want a match with J-Hebert, he makes a proposal. Chris Dodd challenges John Tuddy to a match, and if he wins, I get the match with you at the Royal Rumble. However, if he loses, Chris Dodd will forfeit his spot in the Royal Rumble match to James. I try to talk him out of it, but Chris Dodd says this is a way for him to repay back to me everything I've done for him. And John Tuddy abruptly grabs the microphone and accepts, and Chris Dodd and him shake on it. And you should be like pissed off that John Tuddy like accepted this challenge.
Yeah, like
you should
what the hell? Like I'll look at him like.
Yep.
There you go. That's my reaction. I just be like.
Yeah. But it's official now. You can't go back on it. So obviously on that episode of SmackDown, which would air on January 7th, 2016, Chris Dodd defeats John Tuddy in an excellent match. So now the match is official. There's nothing you can do about it, James. Yep. So then on the January 11th...
I'll just be like the from Star Trek. John! John!
You're not mad at him yet, though, because you're just not mad at him yet. It's not the time.
It's not the time to be mad at him.
So then on the January 15th, 2015... Sorry, I read that wrong. On the January 11th, 2015 episode of Raw, it's the Raw Roulette Show. I decided to bring that back. I liked that. And there's an 8-man tag team match where we both have mystery partners. We have to spin for the partners, too. Your partners are Jack Swagger, Damian Sandow, and Wade Barrett. I know that seems random, but like I said, it's the Raw Roulette. It's supposed to be random. And my partners are the Brotherhood and Kota Ibushi. Now, if you remember, you were the one that caused Kota Ibushi to lose the X Division Championship, so there is some storyline continuity between you and Kota Ibushi. My team wins when Kota Ibushi hits a powerbomb on Damien Sandow. I think it's called the 5-star powerbomb, but I wasn't exactly sure, so I didn't want to put that in there unless it wasn't true.
Yeah, fair.
So then on the January 14th episode, 2016 episode of SmackDown, it's me versus Bobby Lashley, with MVP and the rest of the Hurt Business ringside, which I don't know if you remember, consists of Lashley, MVP, and Kenny King in this booking. While MVP is distracting the ref, Kenny King tries to interfere, but I lay him out. However, you still come out, hit me in the back with a chair, which allows Lashley to win with the spear. Yep. Afterwards, you hit me a damnation bomb through a table.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Then on the go-home episode of Raw, you come out and stand on a ladder and says that at first you were pissed that I found another way to get a match with you because I just can't accept the fact that no matter what, you're better than me. It reminds everyone that the last time we were in a TLC match together, you one-win angeled me through a ladder. Pretty sure that's what happened. I remember you changed the booking of it, so I'm not sure if that's still the same.
Right.
And ruined my career. However, now at the Royal Rumble, you won't only beat me with a clutch. You won't only beat me and crush my dreams from main event in WrestleMania. I think I forgot to write. No, okay, that's it. That is right. You won't only beat me, but you'll crush my chances of main event in WrestleMania. I just read that one.
Hello. Sorry, that's my dad. Continue.
So then I come out and say that, typical James, you only tell your side of the story. Do you forget in that match you suffered an injury that cost you almost a year of your career while I broke out as a single star? You say it doesn't matter because every time they've gone into the ring together, you've beaten me. What I meant by that is James beaten me, not the other way around.
Yes.
So then you say that he'll have the gratification of climbing this ladder and earning his spot in the Royal Rumble over my broken body. So then I say that this match is in my element because I'm not afraid to risk my body to become successful, and I'm going to climb the ladder to potentially achieve my dream of the main event in WrestleMania. So then we're both on the ladder at this point. You slap me in the face, which knocks me off the ladder, and you flip the ladder over. You grab the ladder, and you go to hit me with it. However, I drop kick the ladder into you, and eventually I hit a Blue Jay splash off the turnbuckles through a table. So I've really set this stage down. We both laid each other out and all that type of stuff. So there you go. On the go-home episode of SmackDown, there's a 10-man tag team match in the main event where it's myself, Chris Dodd, the Brotherhood, and Tyson Kidd versus you, John Tuddy, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, and Damien Sandow.
Mexican place?
Hold on, yeah.
Don't ever get the hot sauce.
Oh, no shit.
Unless you really want some hot sauce.
Ah.
Oh.
That sounds gross.
No, I mean, it was burning everything.
I thought you were going a different way with it, and I'm like, oh no.
I had a...
Oh god.
What happened?
Apparently my dad got hot sauce at a Mexican place, and it was really, really hot, and it burned my asshole.
Yep.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, anyhow, yeah, in that 10-man tag team match, your team wins overall after you hit a one-win angel on Goldust for the win. So I figured, Goldust is the veteran. I figured Goldust is the veteran in the match. I think it's going to hurt him the least to take the one. So,
yeah, buddy.
Afterwards, there's a big Royal Rumble style brawl they like to do every year to end the show. For some reason, they like to do that every year. So, so yeah, then it's the Royal Rumble time. At the Royal Rumble, it's the opening match of the show. It's you versus me. You have Chelsea Green inside a TLC match. Makes sense for it to kick off the show, considering the fact that, we have to compete later on in the show. I figured, we want to get that out of the way now before it's too late, so we can recover.
Yeah.
The match goes 45 minutes. And I have, obviously, I'm a spot guy, so I have some key spots in the match. We have a massless brawl to start off, when no one really gets the advantage, but it shows the hatred between us. I go for, and then, I go for a moonsault off the barricade, where you hit me in the back with a chair. You start to target my leg by chop blocking it, lifting me up by the leg and smashing it against the wind steps, hitting me several times, with hitting my leg several times into the post and putting a figure 4 leg with the ladder as an assist. Eventually, I hit a neck breaker off the ladder and start to mount a comeback. I hit a double stomp from the apron onto you while you're holding a steel chair. On the outside, it's supposed to say. I forgot to write that. You hit a frog splash onto me on a ladder bridge against the ropes.
Damn.
I hit a sunset flip powerbomb off a ladder onto a bridge ladder against the ropes. Remember that spot that Finn Balor did at Money in the Bank, like in 2019, where you bounced up and all that type of stuff? I like you to do the same thing. You hit a damnation bomb through a table. I hit a Burbank clash off the turnbuckles onto you through a ladder, which is kind of a way for me to get revenge, because basically that'd be the same position. How I would have this happen too is I have you go for the one-win angel, I counter it, and I hit this move. Kind of showing, you tried to do the same thing you did all those years ago, and this time I got my revenge for it.
Right.
You hit a suplex through 4 tables ringside. I took the spot, obviously, from one of the WIW matches. I forget which one, but that's where I got the spot
All
from.
of them.
Yeah. I'm saying I remember one specifically. I believe it was Lizzie Gray versus Vera, I think.
Oh, yeah. That would be it. Yep.
That's not the finish, though. I hit a spear off the apron through a table. That probably should happen before the suplex spot, though. Now thinking.
Yeah, probably.
Then you and I stopped brawling through the crowd, and eventually I hit a Blue Jay splash off the rafters through the table set up near the equipment area. And I start to make my way back to the ring, and I'm about to win the match. However, Chelsea Green climbs the ladder, and when I get to the ring, I threaten to tip the ladder over, but because I'm a baby face, morality kicks in, and I don't do it. I just basically tell her to leave. Due to this distraction, you hit me in the back, across the back with the crutch, and then off the skull. I should have had you had a drink or something, because every time you should take a drink every time you've hit somebody with a clutch, because I think you do that a lot.
Oh yeah.
That's your weapon of choice. I think you're behind 5. I think you've done 5 times in this video alone. So then you start to climb the ladder, and I start to climb the ladder, and Chelsea Green gets on my back. It puts me in a sleeper hold, and eventually I realize I'm going to lose the match, but fall off the ladder. So I hit you with the because instead of there's a contract up there you sign at the end saying you're in the Rumble. That's basically the item you fight over. And I hit you with the contract, which causes you to fall off the ladder, and I end up succumbing to the sleeper hold, so that causes me to fall off the ladder, which causes Chelsea Green to hit her head. So obviously she has to be helped to the back, so that way she's not a factor anymore. And then you and I go to start climbing the ladder again, and we trade blows. And I hit you with a contract, and you hit me with a contract, and I hit you with a high kick, which causes us to fall off the ladder again. You and I start climbing the ladder again, and we trade blows again. And I hit you with a Boston Destroyer onto a ladder. Then after this spot, I trap you into the ladder, Edge and Jeff Hardy style. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
when they had their ladder match.
Yeah.
And I start climbing the ladder, and before I rip off the contract, I flip you off and pull the contract down and officially qualify for the Royal Rumble. So I understand that was a lot to take in right there, because I'm not done. There's only one more thing. What did you think? How did you think of how I structured that TLC match out?
Yeah. Brutal. I'm pretty sure I'm getting a major injury, buddy. Though I think we're both dying.
Believe it or not, too, bud. That's not even the last match of the feud.
Of course not. Why would it be? Obviously, this feud's got to end the Mania.
Yeah.
Oh,
So later
wow.
on, it's the Royal Rumble. Later on,
it's
the Royal Rumble. Later on, it's the Royal Rumble match, and I come out number 15. And I'm still selling the injuries from the TLC match, obviously, because I should. Who's to say? And honestly, who's to say some of that would be selling? That'd probably be like legitimate pain.
Yeah, all the pain.
However, before I get to the win, you come out and hit me in the back with a clutch and absolutely assault. Like, remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin did that to... when Triple H did that to Stone Cold Steve Austin before he entered the Royal Rumble match, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And you hit a damnation bomb off the stage. Officials come out to stretch me out, however, I refuse because this is my only chance to main event WrestleMania, so I'm obviously not going to want to leave. And I start crawling to the win. Eventually, at number 20, because John Tuddy, I forgot to mention this, at some point before the Royal Rumble, John Tuddy and Chris Dodd have a 2 out of 3 falls match to settle their differences, and whoever lost had to come into the Royal Rumble match number 1, and whoever won got to pick the Royal Rumble number. So John picked 20. There could be a reason for that, because you... So,
right, that's fine. That's fine.
So I figured he wouldn't want to come in too late because he wouldn't get enough time to shine, and he doesn't want to come in obviously too early. Cause,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
And Chris Dodd gets 1, obviously, because I feel like, he's the baby face that would actually get him over with the crowd if he had to go through the Royal Rumble. So
yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, so John Duddy comes in number 20, and he sees that I'm weakened and starts attacking me, and he throws me into the steps. And before he can do any more damage, Chris Dodd hits a suicide dive through the rope to push John Tuddy into the ring, officially entering him into the Royal Rumble match. So then the Royal Rumble match will go on as normal for 7 minutes until I hit a missile drop kick on the John Tuddy and perform some key offense in the Royal Rumble match. I eliminate Damian Sandow with a super kick. However, after that, I turn around into a spear by John Tuddy and finally eliminate me. And after he eliminates me, he flips me off, pretty much. And then, just to tie this knot, from behind, Chris Dodd eliminates John Tuddy, and after a few more minutes, Chris Dodd would get eliminated by a spinning clothesline by Luke Harper while he's on the apron. And I have him try to do the Paul London spot where he took the big bump. If he can take that bump, we'll see.
Right.
And that's the end of Part 3. What are your thoughts of Part 3?
Oh, that was the end of Part 3.
Yeah, can I keep going?
I thought it would well, I mean, you said there's 4 parts, right?
Yeah, the Part 4 is the build up to WrestleMania. Unless I could can I squeeze it in Part 3 or?
Honestly, you probably could. How many minutes have we gone? Let me check something here.
Because I think when I booked this, I thought this would take longer to do because I know it's us. We do long videos. So
yeah, no, yeah, we've only been going for an hour.
So I just finish it then?
Yeah, just finish it. This is Part 3.
Right.
We're getting it all done in Part 3, guys. Changing the plans.
So build up to WrestleMania then. The next night on Raw, you and Chelsea Green cut a promo from your house, talking about how even though I finally defeated you at the Royal Rumble, you still got the last laugh because you overall cost me the Royal Rumble match. This time, however, the camera cuts and it shows me driving with a raid, and I pull up to you guys' house, and I viciously knock on the door.
We're going Austin Pillman with this right now. Oh boy,
yep.
Here we go.
And one of like your hired personnel, the butler, answers the door, and I just attack him. And I throw him into the wall. And
just for a little shout out to Mike, can we call him Alfred?
Sure.
Alright, cool.
There's something else I forgot to mention, by the way. For a little shout out to Mike, when you show up during Chris Jordan and John Tutty's first match, when you have the mask on, you should have Michael X's mask on. Just
agreed.
Because he's debuting after WrestleMania 32, so I think that'd be a nice little nod right there if you had his mask on.
That is fair. That is fair.
Now, obviously, you guys are supposed to feud later. You could just say like you asked to borrow it and didn't say what it was for. So,
yeah.
Even though I don't think Mike would buy that, we just have to assume so, though. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you're cutting this, as you and Chelsea Green are cutting a promo and stuff, it shows me also attacking workers in your house until I get to the dining room where you guys are eating and stuff. And then eventually you see them here and you're just like, hey, you're trespassing, this is too far. And I just say, and obviously since it's pre-recorded, I can swear here. Well, we're fucking long past that. And I just start attacking you. And I take a cloth and you have on the table and smother you with it.
You smother me? You smother me with cloth? Oh my god, okay, yeah. This has gone completely off the rails. We really hate each other in the story. Alright.
Yeah, it's that personal. So yeah, we have a brawl and you throw me into the TV and you go to hit me with a flower vase, but I spear you onto the couch and throw you out the window and just start viciously beating you down. Eventually the cops show up and I surrender and get arrested. And since I'm handcuffed, you take this opportunity to attack me, and while the cops are holding you back and stuff, you inadvertently strike one of the cops, and because of all that chaos and stuff, which causes you to get arrested because of this.
So we both get arrested? Holy shit.
Yep.
The next thing! Oh my god. Alright, this would be comedy gold here. In a sense.
Obviously, I think, by the way, that you and I fighting in your house probably has to be the main event of Raw, right? It has to end the show, right?
Yeah,
there's
probably.
no other way.
I mean, you could do the Brian Pillman thing where they just do it throughout the show, but yeah, probably do the Triple H Orton thing, end the show with it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just not as cool. I feel like, too, because it's us doing it, I remember liking the Orton Triple H thing, but I remember there were bits and pieces of it that were, like, very corny. So we would obviously, because it's us doing it, we'd be getting rid of that. We'd be serious. So.
Yeah, we've been taking the Pillman Austin approach, probably.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So then on the January 28th, 2016 episode of SmackDown, it's revealed that Vince McMahon bailed us out of jail Thursday morning, and he will be on Raw to deal with this situation because it's gotten so personal. So I think I did this too because that just when Vince McMahon gets involved in something, you can say what you want about him. That's how you know shit's serious. Like,
yeah, this is when you have to bring. This is the thing that WWE's completely fucking failed to realize. Like, even with their newest manager now, like they're overexposing Adam Pearce.
Yeah,
you have to have the authority figure come in when it is absolutely, positively necessary. In this instance, Vince had to come in and step in. It's not like one of these things where all right, let the boys be boys. Little jab at him there, but it's one of those things where it's like he had to get involved and he had to deal with the situation because it's gotten too far and it's past business at this point. So there you go.
Yep. If you're wondering why he bailed us out of jail, there's a reason for that. So stay tuned. So then on the February 1st, 2016 episode of Raw, in the main event, because I don't think there's anything else like the main event that show that. Vince McMahon comes down and cops are around the ring, and he says that if you and I lay a hand on each other, we will be fired and we'll go to jail immediately.
Yep.
Vince McMahon says that he's the guy that can finally put an end to this situation, and he mentions all the situations that basically he himself and the company has gotten themselves into that he was able to end. And, obviously he would list them and stuff. I just didn't have the time to list them, so obviously you can imagine what he'd list.
All of it.
So I come out first and say that I'm not going to come out here and beg for forgiveness because everything that I've been put through and have done is said and done, and I can't go back on it now. Obviously, when I say when I would say this, I would probably say it doesn't sound as scripted. So,
Yeah, right.
and I talk about how I just want to put this thing between James and I behind him once and for all. So then you come out and say that it's BS that you were arrested for no reason, and that the reason Vince bailed you, both of us, out of jail is because he knows that. And this is actually, I feel like this is something that's like a dream world, like where you can just cut a promo on Vince. Because I know you've been waiting for that your entire life. So,
Yeah. But like him and
but
Owen are his moneymakers, yeah.
yeah. And I say, for over a year, I actually agree with you. Because Vince went through hoops to try to sign us, and he knows that you and I fighting on Raw is making him money. And Vince says that you're right. After everything you've put each other through, ratings have gone through the roof, network subscriptions are up, and ticket sales have gone up. However, it's clear that your careers won't be furthered as long as you guys are in this feud together. So what do you want to do about it? And you say that they have to. You say that we have to have one final match so we can prove once and for all who the better wrestler is in their tag team. I accept, and I want to do it right then. And you're just like, you don't fight for free, so you're just like, so you want to have it at a big stage in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 or 2. And I say, okay, but when we do this, we truly need to go all the way, and that the only way is inside Hell in a Cell. And I think because the WWE would have damaged the Hell in a Cell, obviously not to the lengths nowadays, because every match we had a finish at least.
Didn't you take Hell in a Cell
like
off the calendar in your universe, though?
Yeah, I did. So this would be the first Hell in a Cell match in I think a while. So
yeah.
So
this
makes sense. And this warrants the Hell in a Cell stipulation. There's like no other way to end this feud. So, and then Vince says it's official, the true final match between James and I. And if this continues after WrestleMania, we will both be fired, and he'll make sure that we never work in this business again. That way, like, people would know that this is over. We're not going to have any more matches after this.
Yeah.
And he makes it pretty clear too. Like, we can't do anything physical with each other. So I hope you're not planning on having us like do backyard wrestling together anymore, because that'd be over. So can't do any. You can't just joke around, wrestle. None of that. None of that.
You can't even be tag team partners. It's sad.
No, we can. We just can't. We can't do anything. We can't do anything physical. Oh yeah, but tags require physicality though. Technically, so
that's technically true. We just wouldn't be hitting each other, but if we accidentally, friendly fire, we're fired.
Yep. So then, I know that was kind of a lot to unpack there. Is there what are your thoughts on all that stuff?
Yeah, let's go. I like this. I like this a lot. That's a good.
They probably wonder when WrestleMania. We still have another pay-per-view though. Like, what are we gonna do up until WrestleMania? Don't worry, buddy. I had a plan for that. So,
okay.
On the February 4th, 2016 episode of, I guess that's supposed to say SmackDown, but I wrote Raw by accident.
It's SmackDown. Okay.
I come out and say that James and I have been tearing each other apart for over a year, and at WrestleMania, it finally ends. And I say that, you will have nowhere to run or hide from me inside Hell in a Cell. You come on the screen and say that, and says that I have forgot, and you say that you have forgotten the psychological advantage every which way since they've started this feud at SummerSlam 2014. Yeah, picture that. We've been doing this feud over a year since SummerSlam 2014. And you talk about how that pay-per-view, you ignited the fire, and at WrestleMania, you're going to put it out. Obviously, you can find a way to say that where it doesn't sound scripted.
Yeah, right. I'd be like, now at the end of it all, Mania's the deciding factor. One final beat. I prove to you, once and for all,
I'm better than you. I'm the star of this team. You're just a flock that followed me around.
Yep.
There you go.
And then
Yeah.
afterward,
Birdman
that's not it. Yeah, that's not
motifs.
it. That's not it. Afterwards, as I'm looking at the screen and stuff, John Tutty attacks me from behind and power bombs me onto the apron because he ain't done with me yet. So,
You're not finished with you.
nope. So then on the February 8th, 2016 episode of Raw, several things happened. There's that catchphrase again.
Several things
And
happened. Several things
and
happened this time.
Yeah. As the intro happened and stuff, I just interrupt the intro right away. Like even like that WWE intro thing they do before the show. And I apologize for it. However, I cut a passionate promo about how I respected all of John's decisions in WWE, even though I don't particularly agree with them. However, when you try to take away something that I busted my ass for to get to, then that's where I draw the line. And I laughed out at John because I take it more personally because he knows the things I've gone through to get to WWE. So I call out John Tutty for a fight. John Tutty comes on the screen and talks about how he knows how passionate I was about wrestling. However, none of that matters because at the end of the day, you're not cut out for this business because you won't take the steps truly necessary to succeed and would rather just be everyone. It's supposed to say shake everyone's hand when you know that won't get you anywhere. I offered John Tutty to come down there and fight me now so he can remind him that I'm truly capable. However, John Tutty refuses because it wouldn't prove anything since I'm not 100%. And then that's the end of the segment. Later on in the show, you come out and put me down for looking for other fights that aren't going to benefit me, while you're focused on the bigger picture, and that's WrestleMania. Christard interrupts you, and before he can say anything, you just cut him off right away and say, "We've handled our business pretty much at Judgment Day, and you're too busy to waste your time with him right now." And then you even ask, how dare you even consider attempting this when you know I'm going to the most important match of my career, and you're just doing this to advance your career. So you basically just say, I'm not having this, good day, and just leave. And Christard just doesn't even get to say anything. So,
Good day, sir. I decree, good day.
did I have you say that in a Messiah way too? Just I decree, good day.
I decree, I bid you adieu. Oh, fuck yeah.
Can you imagine, by the way? I just didn't do anything else. That was just the segment right there. Chris George just never even bothered anymore after that. That was just it. Like,
was that it? Oh, that would be
that's not it.
tremendous. You'd just be like, well, I guess, shucks. Guess I can't defend my friend. Oh, boy.
Yep.
Alright, yeah, go.
So then on the February 11th, 2016 episode of SmackDown, a couple of things. This time I said a couple of things, not several, just a couple.
Just a couple.
Chris Dawg comes out and calls you out because he's not done with you yet.
I'm not finished with you!
However, you never show up. And Chris Dawg says, that's fine, that you're not going to come out there. No big deal, because I'm finally going to be able to get a word in edgewise. Chris Dawg talked about how he's sick of James taking credit for his success while James was the one that got him the opportunities. He is the one that put in the work in. So Chris Dawg calls you out again so he can prove himself. However, you never come out. So he goes backstage. He kicks down your locker room door. However, instead of James there, it's revealed you left an iPad there with a message stating, actually, instead of a message, you should, like, FaceTime the iPad, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I won't message, but it probably makes more sense that you'd FaceTime the iPad. So,
hi, Chris. How you doing, buddy? I know you wanted me to come in there tonight, but I'm kind of prepping for my WrestleMania match, and, like, I can't really afford to get an injury, old buddy. So, I'm going to have to say that's a hard pass.
Yep. That's it. I'm getting, and then did you actually know that that's where I was going with this, or did you just come up with that on the fly?
I just came up with that on the fly. I figured that's where you were going now.
Well, I think the only thing I'd have you add to the former was that you knew. I had you say that you know Chris that you know better than you know yourself, because you knew Chris basically would go to your locker room if you didn't come out. So
that is true.
And then after this, though, Chris Dodd takes the iPad and smashes it on the ground. And you don't care about that because you got money. You don't care about losing an iPad. What do you even care about that for? So,
they got the money, muns.
Then later on in the show, John Tutty squashes Percy Watson.
The fact that Percy Watson's still an active member of the roster.
You need to have enhancement talent, right? So
that's fair. You also could just get jobbers locally.
Nope. Gotta be put. I feel like in my fantasy, I've made it a joke now that it's Percy Watson. I think that's just become a running joke at this point. So
Percy Watson gets squashed again.
Do you remember for a while when we were a team, we always squashed Primo and Epico because we had no other jobbers to squash. It was always Primo and Epico.
Yeah, I see. The funny thing is, Primo and Epico deserved way better if you really think about it.
Yeah, they did.
But
so afterwards, I go to charge the win. However, John Tutty escapes before I can attack him. So, yeah, he's being a heel. It's nothing we can do about it. So, Then on the go home show, instead of several things happen, instead of a couple of things, some things happen. So I changed it up on you. Earlier in the show, John Tutty and I have a sit-down interview with Jim Ross. Jim Ross asks where the issues begin. However, John Tutty says that he doesn't actually have any problems with me. He talks about how he thinks he is a decent guy. However, we just have different lifestyles. And I call BS on that and talk about how if John Tutty truly didn't have any issues with me, he wouldn't be trying to end my career. And John Tutty says that he didn't. It's supposed to say he did that because, as you know, if you are going to make an impact, you have to go after the big fish, and the small pond. It's supposed to say, but it won't pack. So,
yeah.
And due to the attention that our feud's been getting, that's me. So I challenge you to one person. I challenge John to a match because either way, it's win-win for John. If he has a great performance, then everyone will be talking about him as a future star in the company. However, if he wins, then it will not only get him talked about, but it can do wonders for his career. John Tutty accepts on one condition, in that I have to put 100% into this match because John Tutty says this for two reasons. One, because he's worried that, if John beats me, I would just come out the next night and say that I was so focused on the match with James, I just didn't really have my focus there. So that's one reason he said that. But there's another plan there. Do you notice, by the way, you're not even wasting your time getting involved with Chris Dodd, but around the same time a match at WrestleMania gets announced is when the stuff with John Tutty happened. So it's never really confirmed, but it's basically implied that you and John Tutty planned this so that way my focus would be on John instead of you. So basically that's kind of what I went with there.
I gave you the handicap.
Then later in the night, you and Chelsea Green are at the hotel and laughing about the fact that I'm just wasting my time focusing on another match instead of before the biggest match at WrestleMania and all that type of stuff. While you're just on cruise control, pretty much just gonna sit around and just do nothing. And at the end of the segment, you receive room service from a fan. I'm supposed to say it, and you have to sign for it, which you do. I'm going to tell you, bud, you should not have signed for that room service because that was a big mistake.
What did you do? How does this work?
And the next,
what in the world do you have to sign for room service?
well, don't you have to sign for stuff if it gets delivered to you in a hotel and all that type of stuff?
I guess, yeah. I mean, with the debit, yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah. So and then I'm pretty sure that's how that works. And the next segment, there's a reason for this though. Chris Dodd comes out and calls you out to talk about something that's going to interest you. You come out and ask Chris Dodd when he's going to get it through his thick head that you want nothing to do with him ever again, and that there's nothing that's going to change your mind. However, Chris Dodd laughs and reveals James should have read the paperwork that he signed when room service was delivered. Because what it actually was, there's a reason why I said you had to sign for it, was a contract for a match between you and Chris. So that's why you had to sign for it. I mean, in kayfabe, you could say you didn't know you had to sign for it. You didn't have to sign for room service, so you just signed for it anyways, and that's what caused all this to happen. So that way, you know.
God!
Not having it?
I'm mad. I'm mad. How dare you, Chris?
James, but at first though, you laugh. It says you think you've outsmarted me, and you just rip up the contract. And Chris says that's cute, and reveals that he's made several copies on his devices of the contract, sent it to some of his closest friends, and sent it to every. It's supposed to say his lawyer, not every possible lawyer. That wouldn't really make sense. So if James doesn't show up for his match, I did make sure to say and try to win, because then people would say, well, if he just shows up and gets DQ'd, why did he just get DQ'd? You have to show up and try to win the match.
That's fair.
Then he'll sue you for everything he owns. You lash out at Chris and go to hit him with the crutch. However, Chris Dodd ducks and lays you out with the pay dirt. So before I get to these two matches,
by the way, in WYW, it's called the paycheck because he's the franchise.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you think I build up to these two matches? You versus Chris and me versus John.
Very good. I enjoy.
I think the only thing you probably thought was goofy and stuff was the fact that the room service.
Yeah, the room service thing. I mean, it can work. It can work.
But now we know, because now you know what you really signed. So.
Yeah, fair.
So at No Way Out, we have those two matches. But first, on the kickoff show, Chris and I have a conversation backstage about our matches, and Chris forces me to promise that I will not go down to the ring until after the match is over, so he can prove himself. And I reluctantly promise, knowing the fact of what you could possibly do if I make that promise. That's very important. So on the second match of the show, it's me versus John Tuddy. I worked out the spots in the match. Throughout the beginning portions of the match, John Tuddy out-wrestles and out-smokes me throughout the opening minutes. Eventually, I've had enough of this and just nearly take his head off with a drop kick. I take control with some nice high explosive and high flying offense. However, a Hurricanrana is countered into a flapjack, which sends me ribs first into the ropes. John Tuddy targets my ribs by using various power moves like running power slams, suplexes, and other stuff. John Tuddy also uses submission moves like an abdominal spreads, camel clutch, and other things. Eventually, he goes for a power bomb. However, I counter into a DDT. I then perform my comeback and hit a missile drop kick. However, John Tuddy kicks out. John then hits a vicious big boot, but gets a near fall. He goes for a spear. However, I low bridge him. I hit 2 suicide dives through the ropes. However, John Tuddy counters the third one with a spine buster onto the announce table and puts me into the win, but I kick out. I go for a spear. However, I counter with a roll-up, but John Tuddy kicks out. I then follow it up with a standard C-Fire. John Tuddy, however, kicks out. He goes for another high-risk move. No, sorry, I go for another high-risk move. However, John Tuddy counters with a spear, but I kick out. He goes for an apron powerbomb. However, I hold on to the ropes and hit a double stomp off the apron. I go for the Blue Jay splash. However, John Tuddy gets the knees up and hits a running powerbomb. However, I get my foot on the ropes, so that protects his finisher. So I figured it doesn't really make sense for a finisher to be kicked out of in the second match of the show.
Yeah, fair.
John Tuddy goes for a powerbomb off the turnbuckles. However, I start fighting back, and then we ended up still fighting. I hit a Boston Destroyer, followed by a Blue Jay Splash for the win in 24 minutes. So that's that match. And then it's not going to be the semi-main event, but it'll be like that match, a cooldown match, then the main event. Because what happens, we need a cooldown match. So
Yeah, probably.
it's you versus Chris Dodd, and you both exchange wrestling holds. However, neither one of you really get an advantage on each other. I have this happen right away. Like, I feel like what should happen here is you're just really not really into this match, so you just kind of like not really focus on it. You're just kind of looking more towards the future. So you're just kind of there, but you're just kind of basically wrestling a Randy Orton match where he just is in the zone and just whatever about it.
Yeah.
So this causes Chris to nearly get 3 victories in a row on you with a roll up. However, you kick out, which sets you off the edge. And after the third near ball, you just take his head off with a clothesline. And this causes you to dominate the opening moments of the next several minutes of the match with headlocks, suplexes, and sleeper holds. However, Chris performs a small comeback. He clotheslines you, sending you to the outside, and he goes for a suicide dive. However, you move out of the way, and you lower him outside the ring and throw him into both sides of the barricade like Neville does. So,
Right.
and you unleash a vicious assault in this match. Suplexes, 1-in-Ds, clotheslines, and other maneuvers. Eventually, Chris Dodd counters the Damnation Bomb into a face bust. Is that even possible? Can he counter the Damnation Bomb into a face bust? I don't even know.
Yeah, technically, technically speaking, you could actually counter it into a DDT if you rotate quick enough.
All right. Followed by a suicide dive to the outside. Chris Dodd then throws you back and forth into the barricade, getting revenge on you, followed by an elliptic slam onto the apron. However, you kick out when he goes for the cover, due to the amount of time that it took Chris to get you into the ring. He goes for a tilt-a-whirl DDT. However, you counter it into a suplex into the knee, which I think is called the... I forget what it's called now. I knew it, now I don't know what it is, but it's a suplex into the knee. It's called the Hushi Kuroshi 2. I believe that's what it's called.
Yes, that.
However, Chris kicks out. This causes you to snap, and you grab 2 chairs, and you wedge one of the chairs into the corner. However, when you turn around, Chris locks you into a Fujiwara armbar, but you get to the ropes. He goes for the pay dirt. However, you hold on to the ropes and follow it up with a running knee, but Chris kicks out. You go for a suplex onto the chair. However, Chris Dodd counters with a tilt-a-whirl DDT and onto the chair, it's supposed to say, and then hits a honor roll, but you just managed to kick out. And effectively, since Chris Dodd didn't use the chair, it's not a disqualification. He then goes for the paycheck for a second time. However, you counter and send him into the steel chair into the corner. And again, since he didn't use the chair, it's not a disqualification.
Yep.
And then you follow it up by hitting 4 butted knees into the corner, using the chair as assistance. And I think since you're still technically not using the chair, that's not a disqualification.
Yep.
And you follow it up with a 1-win angel. You go for the win. However, you lift up Chris Dodd's head because you're not ready for the match to be over yet. And remember what that promise Chris Dodd made, that no matter what happens in the match, I can't come out there. You remembered that, so that's why you wanted to do extra damage, because you knew that would piss me off because I can't do anything about it. So you just spend the next 2 minutes just beating down Chris Dodd and attempt to force him to say that you were the one that got him into this business, but Chris Dodd never does. You then ended by putting him. You then ended by putting him into the Koji Plus, which caused you to pass out, effectively winning the match in 26 minutes. So basically, I just kind of used the Roman Reigns finish minus the throw in the Roman Reigns Jey Uso Clash of Champions match minus the throw in the power spot, because I kept my promise. So
there you go.
However, you refused to break the hold, though. And since the match is over, I went out. However, you take off before I can get to you. Apparently in this universe, I don't run very fast, because that's happened to John. That's happened with you now. I got to take up some track or something. Like,
you gotta take up some track. Track and field.
So yeah, that's fat. What did you think of how did you think of how I prepared the 2 No Way Out matches?
Yeah,
how I've structured those matches.
This is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Like it.
By the way, you're probably wondering where the No Way Out stip comes in the pay-per-view. There was in the match with Chris Dodd, there was really no way out of that match for you because Chris Dodd basically made it so you can't weasel your way out of the match. So
Fair.
remember in the contract you had to attempt to win the match, so that's why you turn a match that Chris Dodd wanted to a match he didn't want.
Yeah. That's fair. Alright, let's continue.
The next night on Raw, I come out and says that I've dreamed my entire life of main event in WrestleMania, and in a way, my dream's coming true, but it feels like a nightmare. I talk about how we've always talked about main event in WrestleMania, but we never dreamed that it would be like this. You come out and talk about the same thing, but added to the promo, and you should talk about how we've really seen what your morale is like because you kept your promise to Chris Dodd, but in keeping your promise, he might never wrestle again. You should add that somewhere in your promo.
Yeah.
Showing
That's fair.
because pretty much that's what happened.
Yeah.
And you also talk about how you have a new dream at WrestleMania, and that's standing over my beaten, broken body as you prove that once and for all that you were the real true talent in the tag team. Mick Foley comes out and talks about how dangerous the Hell in a Cell match is, and also that the board of directors,
Again?
Well, he I basically since the Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose feud doesn't happen yet, this would be fresh. So
yeah, true. Fair.
So basically, I just took that and added it to our feud because, I mean, as personal as Ambrose and Rollins was, as I think ours is way more personal than theirs was.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball with it, to be honest.
Yeah, they get back. And he says that the board of directors said in a meeting that there was only one man that can referee a match this important and brutal, and that's me. So Mick Foley is now the special guest referee. I think it makes sense if you're going to have a Hell in a Cell match with that personal, you can't just have a normal referee. That's got to be somebody else. Now you're probably worried, right, that I'm going to book the match and have Mick Foley cost you the match. That's not going to happen, so don't be worried about that.
Yeah, no, I know he's not Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Later in the show, John Tuddy defeats Trent Barretto in a really good match and demands a rematch with me, but this time he wants a pure wrestling match because he talks about how the only real reason I got the advantage over him, and obviously he would have to say, is because I was doing all this high-flying crap. And he basically wants to take that option away from him, so he wants to have a pure wrestling match. And later on in the show, I accept. And then on the now, if you're probably wondering what the rules of this match would be, I would have a video out there. I didn't have time to write this down because we were on crunch. I was on crunch time for this. Basically, the rules would be no high flying maneuvers, no rope breaks, no, and you can only win the match by submission or pinfall, but you can't. You can use weapons, but yeah, I don't know how I get around that. Because basically, I don't want there to be weapons used either.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Like I said, I was on crunch time, so I didn't have time to really think about that. So on the February 25th, 2016 episode of SmackDown, some things happened.
Some things do
We're
happen.
back to that category. Earlier in the show, you do a promo from your hotel talking some more about the Hell in a Cell match and say that Mick Foley is only in this match to keep hold of whatever legacy he has left, and says that if he crosses you at Hell in a Cell, he'll make King of the Ring 1998 look like Sunday school. And that was pretty bad, so I don't know. You got some stuff in it.
Oh my god. What are you trying to turn me into, MJF? We went from Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns hybrid to MJF in about various segments here. Okay.
So then in the main event, I defeat John Tuddy in the pure wrestling match after I force him to submit to a knee bar, which while you're watching on too, afterwards, after I leave the ring, you and John Tuddy are left alone in the ring, and you hit him in the back of the leg with a clutch, smashes his knee against the ring floor, and you go for a chair, wrap it around his leg, and you go to hit him with it. However, I won out, and you take off again before I can get to you. And I'm just appalled about this. Like, I should be saying, like, you even doing this to John, someone who's taking your side all this time?
Yep.
And you just have, like, this evil smile and stuff on your face. So,
I'll just do
what should you be like?
I'll just do the Seth Rollins laugh.
Well, I feel like you should be pissed off, actually, because you're kind of pissed at John. You should be pissed at John for that.
Yeah, I'd probably
So,
just be like,
yep.
no. Minus the bark. Continue. This is really
So then
good.
on the February 29th, 2016 episode of Raw, I come out and talk about how I listened to Mick Foley's warning about the Hell in a Cell match, and I say that the truth is, one match I never wanted to be in was Hell in a Cell, because I know that it takes a toll on your career, not only physically, but mentally. But I said I made the challenge because I knew that this was the only way to finish the issues between James and I once and for all. Chelsea Green comes out to the new music. The one she had in NXT. When I wrote the one that she has now, she was still in NXT when I was booking the storyline. So,
Okay.
and I basically say that I hate it because it sounds like nails on a chalkboard, which is true. I hated that song. So,
Fair.
and Chelsea Green says that this all could have been avoided if you had just accepted that James was the one carrying the tag team all along, and says, hell, I'm a better talent than you are. And she berates me and says why that is. I say that when Chelsea Green was struggling to grasp wrestling, she came to me for help, and I was the one that coached her. Chelsea Green says that if you think you're better than me, then prove it and face me in a match tonight. I'm obviously hesitant about this for obvious reasons, but Chelsea Green keeps egging me on, and it causes me to accept. But to make it fair, I have to have my hands handcuffed behind my back. I think you can see what's about to happen here. Before the match starts, when I'm finally handcuffed, Chelsea Green gets on the mic and says, "You just make this way too easy, don't you?" And you come out and you just beat the crap out of me while I'm handcuffed. Like, just basically Triple H Daniel Bryan all over again. Like, pretty much,
Damn.
maybe worse. Like, this should just be a vicious beatdown. Like,
Yeah. Brutal beatdown, brother. Fucking hell.
yeah.
God damn.
And I think when you come out too and stuff, I should just have this look on my face, because you could say this makes me look like a stupid, like one of that, like the look on my face, like I should have seen this coming, but I didn't type of things, just because you know, I feel like that should, but I feel like that would happen, like to some baby faces, where like there's times they should see things coming, but just the pride cost them in the end. So that's I want that's what. So then on the March 3rd, 2016 episode of SmackDown, I think. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be SmackDown. You and Chelsea Green come on and cut a promo talking about how what you did to me on Raw is nothing compared to what you're going to put me through, to the hell you're going to put me through at Hell in a Cell. And to add this, I should talk about how when you were going through the plan of this, you knew that my ego would not allow Chelsea Green in your head to be a better wrestler, because we both know, no offense, that's not true. So it's like the first time you've complimented me in like over a year.
And I disrespect Chelsea. Oh my god. Oh lordy.
Hey, so you're still mad at her, so.
Yeah.
And then John Tuddy comes out and talks about how he took all of the same shortcuts James did and helped him in every step of the way, not only in this business, but outside of it. And this can obviously be a reference all the time, you know, we brought you home when you've needed it and stuff. Yet you try to end, and then he says, yet you try to end my career, and you demand an explanation. And you actually say you appreciate everything John has done for you, and honestly, I'm really not that mad about you failing. However, it's the way you lost last week, because
I don't respect quitters. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
and you can improv. You should just chastise him for quitting. Like make him feel bad.
You tapped out. You challenged Owen. Owen Finch to a pure wrestling match. This should have been in your wheelhouse, buddy. Considering who you trained with. But you get caught in a knee bar, a textbook knee bar that anybody with a brain and 2 freaking eyeballs could have seen coming. And you tapped out. You tapped out to little itty bitty Owen Finch. I don't even know. I feel dirty.
Where did the little itty bitty come from? Like I'm taller than you.
Sorry, buddy. You are taller than me. You're just not bigger than me because wideness and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty big, bro. I got some width to me.
And after this, now I hate to say this, but this is no offense. From all wrestling rundown days, I think you even know this. John wouldn't take any shit from you. I think you know this. You going by this fucking bullshit? Oh my god. I forgot we had our John Tutty
dumb shit like that.
So John Tutty admits he gave up. However, he had no choice because it was either tap or snap. And if James doesn't understand what that means, maybe he needs to show him next on Raw this week, and you accept. So it's a match now. So
well, damn.
On the March 7th, 2016 episode of Raw, in the main event, you defeat John Tutty in an amazing match after a heel hook. Because if you remember, I think his knee would still be hurt from our match last week and stuff. So It makes sense. Afterwards, you beat him down some more with a clutch, grab a chair, wrap it around his leg, and smash it with the clutch.
Damn.
And obviously, I don't come out here because I'm still selling the injuries. I'm still selling the injuries from the previous week, so I'm not there. And you should be saying my name and talking to me through the camera as it's happening, type of stuff.
Damn.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything on SmackDown that week because I didn't really think. Like I said, we're overbooking ourselves this preview. I really don't think it's necessary to really do anything else.
Yeah.
On the March 14th, 2016 episode of SmackDown, it's James Hebert. James Hebert comes out, supposed to say, and he says that he's not going to come out and talk about me. And I have this happen out of nowhere to you coming out, and there's a reason for this. Mm-hmm. And he says that I'm not going to come out and talk about Mania and beat a dead horse because I was watching Raw backstage and noticed that Raw should be in Boston because then that makes sense. My family's there. My uncle and my cousin that's been attacked by the Shields and the Wyatts and all that type of stuff. They're in the front row and he invites them to hop the barricade and he gets them in their face. And he talked about how he hasn't seen any posts or received any texts congratulating Owen and him on main event in WrestleMania. And it's because he knows that it's not going to be a celebration. It's going to be a slaughter. You then talk about how when you asked my uncle for a job, you continuously told me no. However, I kept asking, when Owen asked you, you said yes because he's family. And then you should cut. Like I said, I was writing this in a crunch. And you should talk about how you should embarrass him and talk about how you're twice the worker I am. Yet you gave him the job over me and all that type of stuff. And because he said the reason he says no is because he doesn't have enough people and all that type of stuff. You then my uncle then grabs the microphone from you and says that he's sick and tired of all the vile things that you've gotten away with, and the main reason that Owen is going to be more successful than you, not only because he has hurt, because he's a decent person and won't put others down to get ahead in life. You then said maybe you're right. However, if things don't work out between Chelsea and I, $100 is available. You should just say that as an asshole, one last thing comment.
Damn.
My uncle then pushes you and tells you to watch your mouth, and then you should be like, yeah, you're right. I should know when to stop talking, and then just cheap shot him right after that. And my
Damn.
and then afterwards, my cousin attacks you. He just punches you right in the face, and obviously because he made a mistake, he checks on his dad, and this allows you to hit him in the back with a crutch. And you should grab the mic afterwards and then said, just like what Omega said when Paige punched him in the face and all that type of stuff. It's like, oh, now I'm mad.
Yeah.
And just beat him down. And you go to, let's see. And you go to take my uncle and you grab him in the back of the neck and you go to hit him with the crutch. Well, an ambulance pulls up and I come out of it, and it leads to a big brawl, and we brawl through the crowd. Well, eventually, we brawl like all over concessions and stuff, and eventually, to escape from me, you just hop into some random person's car and just drive away. And I actually like throw like a rock, and it hits like the back of the windshield and stuff. So
Fair.
I'm mad.
You're very mad. It's clear. I can tell.
So then on the March 17th, 2016 episode of SmackDown, I come out and do a promo saying that after everything that James has put me through this past year, victory is the only option of WrestleMania. And he says that, and I say that I'm entering Hell in a Cell, but I may not walk out the same, but I'm going to make sure that you don't even walk out. And then later in the night, I defeat Dolph Ziggler with a vicious Birdman clash. And throughout this match, I'm just extra aggressive in this match.
You really hate him, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it makes.
It is.
So then on the
There you go.
on the March 21st, 2016 episode of Raw, some things happen.
I couldn't tell.
You defeat Treporetto in a really good match. Just a really good match. Mick Foley talked about his role as the referee in the Hell in a Cell match. How this would happen is he would get interviewed by the commentators on that show and just answer the questions improv style. You defeat, and then I defeat Jack Swagger in a false count anywhere match after a Burbank clash off the turnbuckles onto a pile of chairs in a great match.
I assume you did that because him and Ziggles are still a team.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
So then on the Go Home episode of Raw, it's hyped in the main event that you and I will have one last chance to say what we want to say to each other before WrestleMania. This is like our last chance to really let everything to let everything just come out, just shoot on everybody. And it's going to be hosted by Mick Foley. And if we lay a hand on each other, then the match is off, and we go to jail. Before the match, I'm adding this in because I didn't get a chance to. John Tutty should come up with his cane, because obviously he should still sell his knee injury, and apologize for taking these dirty tactics. And we may have different lifestyles, but I shouldn't have let James. I should have been aligned with James, and he talked about James was wrong and all this type of stuff. And he tells me to kick. He tells me to kick your ass this Sunday. He's not a hugger, so we just knuckle touch. And this should happen like right before
Knuckle touch. Oh, and it's called a fist bump. Knuckle touch.
Some people call it that. So
it's a fucking fist bump. Like,
oh, you know where I got that from? I got that from Drake and Josh, and Josh said it. So that's
for
why.
fuck's sake. Of course. Okay. Fuck it.
Let's talk about this. So let's talk about the segments.
Yes.
You say that for the past year, you've been an inner voice in my head that made him have to prove himself that you're more than just a tag team wrestler. And I say that you're right. I did have to prove myself while you were nursing an injury, and by you turning on me, it caused people to see what I was truly capable of. Then you say that until I came back, that was until I came back, and then I was the black cloud that knocked everything down, and I'm going to do the same thing at WrestleMania. And then I say that during this feud, when you look at when I look at myself in the mirror, I become a monster, and I hate myself for it now. But now I'm going to unleash the monster inside the cell and end this once and for all. Anything you want to add here that we should say to each other? Because this is like the one last chance, and there's going to be no other chances.
Man, where do I even go here? So you say you're gonna bring out a monster. I'm like, I guess I could do a little hint and be like, you have an uncontrolled monster that's about to be unleashed at WrestleMania. I was trained by monsters. You came in and you were the high spot guy. I was a main event champion. There's the difference, Owen, between you and me. You came in here, you came in when we were doing the stuff in the backyard, and I was the bigger star than you. You came in, you wanted to help any way you could. I was the vicious one back then. I'm going to be more vicious than you then. And I'm going to be more vicious than you at WrestleMania. And I don't care if you have this monster that you're going to unleash in the cell. The difference between you and me is I can control my rage. You can't. And that's going to be your downfall, buddy. I've already won. There you go.
You should even talk about too the biggest evidence that I can't control my rage is as I got myself into that match with John Tuddy before WrestleMania when you knew that was more important and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's all I gotta say, really.
And Mick Foley reminds us that if we lay a hand on each other, that we can't touch each other, then we should save that aggression inside the cell. And you're like, you're right, I can't touch you, but they can. And the Wyatts teleport to the ring. And I do the best I can to fight them off. But the Shield, but obviously the numbers game catch up.
Ooh.
But the Shield, and eventually the Shield runs out, and it ends with a big blow to end Raw. So obviously the baby face.
You're building the Shield. You build the Shield and stuff.
Notice the Shield's made an appearance in every one of these bouts, by the way. Everyone, Tag Team 1, Feud, the Shield's been everywhere. So, And by the way, this is going to be the last thing we see before WrestleMania. There's no reason to do anything else. There's really nothing to do. And after the show, WWE would air a 4-episode series of the network, on the network, it will say, going through the build-up to our feud. It's basically going to be the countdown show that AEW does, and we're just going to really let it talk about everything there. And we'd have other people talk, like the Shield, Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, maybe not the Wyatts. That wouldn't really fit, but basically everyone we've come in contact with. Stuff,
yeah, basically, yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about it. WrestleMania 36, Night 1 in the main event. We finally have the match, and it's spectacular.
No shit.
there's a stalemate for a minute or so, and we come face to face, really sink in the fact that it's going to be the last time we face off, basically what Shawn Michaels and Triple H did in their Hell in a Cell match. There's a physical brawl in the beginning where we hit stiff kicks and right hands, but no one really gets the advantage on each other. The match is brutal. We use kendo sticks, chairs, ladders, trash can lids. You hit a fall-away slam into the cell. I hit a kendo stick. I set a kendo stick into the cell, and you set a kendo stick into the cell and press my eye against it into the kendo stick. I hit a moonsault off the cell. I don't think that's up. I'm surprised that spot's never been done in Hell in a Cell, where someone did a moonsault off the inside of the cell. I don't know why that's never been done. I hit a suicide dive twice in a row, but I missed the third one and go head first into the cell, which bust me open in the process. You go to Irish whip me into the corner with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, but I reverse it and send you into the baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, which bust you open in the process.
Yep.
I used the bat to work over the your open head wound. I hit an elbow drop off a ladder while holding a steel chair through a table. You hit a damnation bomb off the turnbuckles through 2 tables. I get you in various submission moves like a cross face, regular, and with a kendo stick, a knee bow, and a clover leaf. I think too, since we're adding this part from your promo, you should struggle for a while to get out of the knee bow. You know that makes sense because you just trashed that submission move. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm getting my comeuppance on that regard.
I spear you through the cell. You hit a damnation bomb off the timekeeper's area through the English announce table. We climb on the cell and we blow out there and hit a double clothesline. I hit a float over DDT on the cell. You hit a Russian leg sweep on the cell. You hit a damnation bomb on the cell. I hit a moonsault off the cell onto you through the announcer's table. We get into the ring and we blow in the ring and do more stuff, just more brutal stuff. Let's get to the finish. Eventually, I hit a Blue Jay splash off a ladder and get the win, finishing off the feud. This makes sense because it would be a feel-good way to end the feud, and this is finally you getting your ultimate comeuppance after all the vile things you've done to everybody.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah.
And the match would be awesome, and I think we would both look good coming out of this feud because, we made it. I think we made probably the top heel in the business and the top baby face in the business probably with this feud. So
yeah, agreed.
Let's go through last of it, and then you can give your thoughts. Let's go for the champions after WrestleMania 32. Roman Reigns is going to defeat Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship. Obviously, the Shield and the Wyatt family feud will go on for a while. I would have probably Wyatt versus Ambrose at Judgment Day. Wyatt gets through Ambrose, and then we have a match at the Royal Rumble, that same 6-man tag team match with the Wyatts and the Shield for all for the WWE and World Tag Team titles. And I would have the same thing happen where Ambrose disappears and allows the Wyatts to win. I would have some infighting a little bit between Ambrose and Reigns, and Rollins is the one that has to get them together. And eventually it allows Reigns to win the Royal Rumble match later on in the show. And he beats him here for the belts.
Okay. Because by this point he would actually be built better as a fucking contender as well.
Absolutely. Bobby Roode keeps his world title. He's had it all this time. He's defending it against opponents like AJ Styles and Cesaro and stuff, and he retains the title in a triple threat match against AJ Styles and Cesaro on this show. Drew McIntyre defeats Braun Strowman to beat him for the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena beats Rusev for the U.S. title. I would have the same storyline and everything. I know this isn't ideal, but I'm actually one of the few people that thinks it wasn't John Cena that ruined Rusev. It was WWE that ruined Rusev.
Yeah, no, that's 100% accurate. Yeah, because like Rusev still could have been a bigger star if you actually let him be himself after the feud, but you didn't.
Yes.
And like if they went with the God's favorite champion gimmick now after this feud, do you realize how over he'd be?
Absolutely.
Especially if you mix in the Rusev Day stuff with that. I mean, come on. And then, by the way, like Cena, at the end of the day, I mean, it's Cena's U.S. Open Challenge thing was tremendous. You need to keep that somehow, even if it happens a year later.
Yeah.
So.
And this is probably going to be like John Cena's last full-time one as a wrestler, because that's the I don't think. But the most thing we appreciate about his Open Challenge, it was Cena's last one as a full-time wrestler. Like,
and he put, and even though he won a lot of the matches, he made everyone look like a fucking star and put over the future. So
yes,
there you go.
The Usos defeat Luke Harper and Eric Rowan for the World Tag Team titles. Also, Ambrose and Reigns are in there. It's a triple threat tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch beats Paige for the women's title. I think that'd be a damn good match.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin defeats Apollo Crews for the Internet Championship.
No. No. I mean, their feud actually was pretty good in the NXT, to be honest.
Don't forget, I know you should. I know you forget this, but Baron Corbin actually was good in NXT. I think this main roster's just ruined him so much you forget that.
Nah, yeah,
he was actually good.
He was actually a fucking beast in NXT.
You can make the argument that he was just probably called up too soon.
Yeah. Oh no.
And other things.
Without a doubt, that was the case. Yeah.
And then Cedric Alexander defeats Austin Aries for the X Division title. And you can do that whole thing where, like, the only reason Cedric Alexander was signed to WWE was because the fans wanted. So Austin Aries can play off that because Austin Aries is great at that type of stuff. So,
agreed.
And let's go through the network events after WrestleMania 32. We have Payback, which takes place on May 1st, 2016. Extreme Rules, which takes place on May 29th, 2016. Canada Lynn, and which takes place on June 26, 2016. The Great American Bash, which takes place on July 24, 2016. And SummerSlam, which takes place on August 28, 2016. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, there's going to be more of this? I kind of wanted to see what we would do after our feud.
Yeah,
so
well, obviously, we're obviously going to hold off on this until, like, way later. But yeah, I get why you wanted to continue this, because this is actually pretty intriguing. What we would do.
Like I said,
I assume we're winning championships finally out of the tag titles. So.
And U.S. titles, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
And I want to make this known to the ultimate goal in our feud. After the Cell match was to, like, save the Hell in a Cell. Like, I feel like you and I would say backstage, we gotta save the stipulation. We can't let the stipulation go down the tubes. And we were like, let us save the stipulation, pretty much. Like,
yeah, that makes sense. We did good. That was
yeah.
good.
What do you think of
I'd give it a 10 out of 10. That was actually fucking great. There was a lot there. You put our characters over, including John and Don in that. I assume if you were booking the rest of the damn show, you probably would be booking the Shield well, the Wyatt family well. You clearly had a long-term plan when it comes to the women's title picture as well in every division. This is really well done, dude. This is really well done. Legitimately, this is what this whole story arc is. What got you into WYW creative things in the first place. I'm like, how the fuck did we not use this guy? No, seriously, because I was joking around with Mike and Casey. I was like, dude, we should have had this guy in our fucking group like ages ago when it comes to the creative stuff, because he would know how to make stuff make sense and put everything into perspective. Like, we should definitely use him for the next year. And they're like, yeah, fucking agree. So there you go.
There was one last thing too. In the main event of night 2, I was in the main event Reigns and Wyatt night 2, but I think it makes more sense. I think since the two new stars were at the main event night 1, since it was in Texas, this should be Undertaker's last matches, and I would have Undertaker versus Brock, no DQ, streak on the line. Brock beats Undertaker for the streak and retires the Undertaker. I think that's.
Would you still have Brock be the guy? I guess.
I guess still would. I mean, I think it worked long term.
It worked long term until they fucked Roman Reigns up, and then it didn't work long term anymore. I guess in this case, you didn't fuck him up, so yeah, maybe. Yeah, fair.
Trust the process. Trust the process.
All right, trust the process. I agree. Your process is a lot better than the E. So there you go.
Yep.
Well, there we go. We're finally done with this fantasy. There we go.
I know we were on it for a while.
How long did this go? Yeah, 2 hours. Perfect. Look at that. Well,
yeah,
a little bit over 2 hours.
We got 2 parts in.
There we go.
We got you.
We squeezed it all in one part. We squeezed it all in one part. Yep. So there you go. So yeah.
Isn't it sad our tag team one I think was longer than this one I think.
Not really. I expected that this was going to be a little bit shorter. So.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's our completed history in Owen's thing. It was a lot better. I remember when we originally did fantasies, and this is like 10 times better than what you were doing beforehand. Because you booked like everything, and I'm just sitting there falling asleep. And like this was actually okay. We're focusing on a single storyline, but just so you know, here are the other places here. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta warn you. That's probably gonna happen in the next part. I booked everything in the next part. You're gonna be sleeping a lot.
Oh no. We might, you know
Sorry,
what?
buddy.
You know what? If we do it, we'll do it in like, I don't know. Maybe we'll do it in like rapid fire somehow in that way, in that regard as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's my turn, right, for a fantasy?
Yeah. Do you have one in mind?
Well, I do have one in mind. Although. Now I don't know how well this is gonna go because I haven't actually booked the events yet. But I was gonna rebook TNA in 2010.
Oh yeah.
Because yeah, they got fucked. They fucked up royally. I was gonna like I was gonna do a pretty big thing with that. But
so the question I have for you then, we could talk. What's in this video first, and then I'll ask you the question because I feel like we're. Okay, goodbye.
What's in this video? Oh, end the video. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
End it. Goodbye.
Okay, before what is that? How we're ending every fantasy now? No, we actually should do an outro. That was a one-time thing. But yeah, guys. Everything down below in the description. We actually did a test run, and this went fairly well. We didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. We actually recorded this on OBS. So, the likely thing going forward after all these fantasies are over, and by this point all the retros that we've done would have been done as well, every single piece of content is either going to be pre-recorded and or live streamed using OBS. Why are we doing this? Simply put, it's a lot more of an effective strategy to actually pump out content, and we can actually talk about current events, and for it not to be late, and it's pretty simple when you're actually about to live stream, you have to do all the tags and the hashtags, the description, all that anyway. So all that you really have left to do is the fucking end screen, because you're already streaming live. In Owen's case, at least on the Wrestling Fortune 44 channel, we still have to pre-record shit, but it's still the same thing. Like, you just have to copy it from, say we'll record it on my channel on Unlisted, like we did with this one. Then we just copy everything that we did on that description over to the other description, and then there you go. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Everything pre-recorded, everything goes live from this point going forward on this channel. Well, besides this channel, it's still pre-recorded, so we can figure out why the fuck YouTube won't let you stream anymore.
I know.
Like, how long has it been, by the way, since you couldn't stream?
Since 2017. No, I think maybe 2018.
You should be allowed to stream again. I don't get that. It's like,
I think it's pretty much Google.
It's like, hold on, because I'm actually gonna look this up on the air. I don't care, because like this is ridiculous now. How long can you not stream on YouTube for? Let's see. So how long? Nope. Restrictions on live streaming. Restrictions on live streaming. To stream on mobile, your channel will need to have at least. Oh. Huh. So apparently, wait, no, that's to stream live on mobile. You have to have 1,000 subscribers. That's weird.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't have 1,000 subscribers?
Yeah, I think that might be it.
Well, I mean, that doesn't make sense because you said you were able to live stream on your Own the Talkinator channels, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Because we've done that. I remember there was a period of time, even during that, where we had to move the Wrestling Rundown over to Owen and Talkinator for a bit because we had to. No? Or CM Brothers. It was one of the two.
CM Brothers, yeah. CM
Yeah,
Brothers.
so we were able to do it.
Yes, I don't know then.
Anyway, regardless, pre-recorded shit on this channel only. Everything else is going to be live, and even if this shit is pre-recorded because of that ailment, I mean, you're still going to get it, like, pretty much the day after. So, I mean, that's how we're going to be doing this from now on. That includes rundowns, fantasies, and retros. We're also maybe debuting, and I got to talk to you about this one, but there's a bunch of friends of mine on Any Brand Wrestling. I think you're part of that group chat. We want to try to start a podcast, and I want to use your channel as, like, the launching point. And since it is wrestling,
Yeah.
it's like, wrestling. So it's just, there you go.
Yeah.
We also may be doing something on Noah's channel going forward as well. Because we could do this live streaming stuff. Because all I need is Noah's stream key. I've already kind of talked about it with him in passing, but not only will Any Brand Wrestling be a show, All Things Wrestling, which is a show that is run by Noah primarily, can be done by me using the stream, and we could do it via OBS in this regard. So you may see that going forward because we actually did a couple post show talks for AEW on the Zoom calls. I don't even know if you know that, and I want to turn that into a show because there's some very good and intelligent people on there. There's Eric Brown, he's really good. I like what he brings to the table. Noah, obviously, we know how good he is. There was another guy that was on there last week. I just can't remember the name of him, but we have guests on there every now and again, and we talk about the live things that happened after AEW. So we're thinking of turning that into a show.
Maybe I'll get a cable. Maybe I'll get a cable box. Maybe finally get a cable box so I can join this show right afterwards.
You don't have a cable box?
Why do you think I? Well, in my room, anyways. Why do you think I can never watch anything live?
Why don't you just do it in the living room?
They use TV.
Yeah, for how long though?
When the Red Sox are on, it could be all night.
On Wednesdays?
Sometimes they are Wednesdays.
Check if it's this. Oh wait, it's Thursday, isn't it? You have it recorded, right?
AEW?
Yeah, this episode. I highly suggest you just skip right to it and watch it, dude. This show was fucking tremendous, and from what I heard, Rampage is going to be off the charts too this week. And there's no way that a fucking Red Sox game is going to get in the goddamn way. I mean, come on.
No.
On 10 o'clock on Friday? Come on.
Yeah, no. Let's end this so I can ask you my questions.
Alright. Until next time, guys. See ya on the live stream going forward. Bye.
Whenever you see this.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna let the stream just go. You can ask me your question now. Because I gotta let it go for like a couple seconds because sometimes the fucking thing